What is up, Nintendo Land? Welcome to the Nintendo Open Air Podcast. Only 10 days until Christmas, so if there's not a Switch under the Christmas tree for your dearest friends and loved ones, you still have time. Go get one. Or perhaps you're wondering, what gift would perfectly complement that new Switch? Never fear, Nintendo Open Air Podcast is here. We'll have our holiday guide at the end of tonight's episode, so stick around and see if there's something you might be missing out on this holiday. But before we get to our topics tonight, of course, I've got to introduce our panel. Got all the regular crew here tonight. We've got Mo, Z, Max is joining us, and of course, I'm your host, Jason. So, what we've all been doing today in the last few days is looking for this cereal that apparently does not exist. Has anyone had any kind of lead on finding a box of Amiibo cereal?
No.
eBay.
Yeah, I've been hunting, man.
I think I've gone now to 7 or 8 different stores. But I'm guessing that the stores don't look at a street date and go, "Oh, we got to get this on the shelf today." So I can't imagine that they're sold out everywhere. So whatever. I mean, I tried my best. I was hoping to have a spoonful of it in my mouth so that I could come on here and tell you how much it tastes like Lucky Charms, which is what I hear from everybody else, but just haven't been able to scare one up yet.
I hit 3 stores this evening and had absolutely no luck whatsoever. I even talked to an employee at one. Of course, they had no idea what I was talking about, or much less who Super Mario is. So, not a lot of hope there.
Is that some Italian guy? Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed the people on eBay are still trying to get like $30 or $40 a box, but I'm just hoping that they just haven't put them out in our stores around here.
I think we would be hearing from people that, work at one of these retailers and say, in the back room, we've got, how many ever 100 boxes they're supposedly have in stock. But I haven't really heard anything along those lines.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if they wait until, if there's probably like seasonal or whatever limited time cereals that they kind of switch out for one another. So maybe they're just waiting for one to sell out so they can put this out. I don't know.
Well, like you and I said, Mo, it looked like at our respective stores, it looked like the shelves had been kind of ransacked, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if that's just because like we were catching them before a restock, or if there's just been a crazy rush for Rice Krispies.
Maybe. There was a sale on Kellogg cereal at my local Albertsons.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I saw some pictures online of what looked like a little cardboard stand display that had the cereal in it, which $5 a box seems pricey, but it's a real deal. It's more than 50% off of an Amiibo.
I've seen that higher price. I mean, we don't know for sure where this was at or what store, but it makes you wonder if somebody in management knows what's up and it's like, we need to mark this up. We'll sell them.
It's all the talk at the big cereal conference.
Yeah, the supermarkets are all going to start having their little trucks like Amazon. They're going to be selling Super Mario cereal out of, in especially select cities.
I kind of get the feeling that there's going to be plenty to go around once it finally comes out.
I hope
just
so.
the people that, like I said, I don't know. I've never went to the store day one looking for a box of cereal. So
yeah, exactly.
I have no idea how this is supposed to work. All I know is I have no cereal in my house right
now. Yeah, I think we're all waiting. It's like I think many of us are out of cereal, and it's like we want more, but we're waiting for Mario, of course.
I just want to be disappointed by the taste of this cereal.
I finished all my Count Chocula and whatever from October. I'm ready for some more sugary goodness.
Yeah, I do think it is weird that Post still has their promotion going on with Nintendo. So there's tons of boxes in the store. Yeah,
with Mario on them, that kept throwing me while I was looking. I'd see Mario. No.
I did the same thing. Mario. Oh, great map.
Well,
It's
that's
the small
just...
Mario on the corner of the post box. I'm looking for the big Mario.
Yeah, I keep thinking you won't be able to miss it once you actually see it. And I don't know about you guys, but the first thing I'm going to do is look for that naturally flavored with other natural flavors,
Yep.
just to make sure that that is a real thing. But it appears to be.
That's still mind-boggling.
Yeah. Whatever. It is what it is.
I
There was
have no.
not the same rush for the Mario Kart fruit snacks, so the amiibo must be the difference, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's just that there's something Norman Rockwell about
It's also
cartoon
marketing.
video game branded cereal stuff.
It's also marketing. How long have those Mario Kart fruit snacks been out? And do you remember them making a big hubbub about it when they came out?
No.
I just randomly happened to spot them at the store and was like, oh crap, I got to buy those.
But that also wasn't on every Nintendo news site either.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. Is that's the big
The
difference
amiibo
here.
is what's made this the story, I think.
And well, the amiibo has made it the story. The fact that this, Nintendo is suddenly all the rage again, whereas the Mario Kart fruit snacks came out during the Wii U period when
That's
nobody
true.
gave a shit about Nintendo. Right?
Yeah.
I think that was part of it too.
They should have apologized to Kellogg's and done some sort of cross promotion when Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out.
Please understand.
Yeah. Just getting a sweet steelbook edition. Kind of sweet.
Well, it's just they're selling boxes again. Would you like to introduce this topic that Mo just jumped to, Jason?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Go ahead and run with it, Mo.
I don't know if it's really much of a topic. It's just it looks to be Best Buy exclusive. They're doing a steel book. When you buy Mario Kart 8, you get this red metal steel book case for it as a free gift. So of course us early adopters who already bought it twice are probably not going to buy it a third time just for a metal case. But I'm sure eBay will be full of them.
There will be some people who will, and eBay will be full of the cases themselves for more than the cost of the game, no doubt.
Only $20? No, I'll pay $20 or $30.
They are advertised as being endlessly reusable, so I mean, yeah.
That's true. You can literally open and close this metal case as many times as you need to. Best Buy every now and then gets some cool things. I just bought. I finally broke down and bought Mario Odyssey, and got
after renting it and playing it all the way through.
Yeah, after renting it, beating it, and deciding that I didn't want anything to do with it. But during that time, I had made the mistake of allowing my child to play it, and she keeps bringing it up. Which is also my fault because I bought her one of those cappy hats.
Yep.
So she'll run around my house with the hat on, trying to throw it at things to turn into them. So I figure I'll just buy it and let her play it. But Best Buy is cool. You don't get many physical things anymore.
No,
okay, so I think that's 3 games now. 3, like the 3 biggest games probably on.
That I said I wouldn't
Switch.
buy. That I did.
You said you're not buying. 2 of which you even rented first because there's no way in hell you were going to buy.
Yeah. And I still debated this one, but I was just like, well,
this one
seems like play it.
Yeah, this one seems like the hardest sell, but
yeah. And
still.
When I look at Mario Kart 8, I might even have 30 hours into that on Switch, but it's way at the bottom of my list. I haven't played that one in forever, and I feel like Odyssey would be the kind of the same way.
Mario Kart 8, right, is only broken out when people are over or when I'm over at somebody's place.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I think I played it
the
first week I got it, and that was about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it's one of those things that you have to have in your collection.
Yeah, it's just required.
It's like a box of Monopoly, or it's one of those board game type deals that you just have to have. You gotta have Scrabble, you gotta have Monopoly, you gotta have Mario Kart 8.
And if you didn't have Mario Kart 8, which I did not buy it, and I'm not tempted to buy it, but if I was interested in it, I would definitely go for the Steelbook.
Oh, you have not
That's
double
okay.
dipped yet?
And I don't intend to.
Shame on
No.
you.
I haven't
I
either.
You get your
Oh,
fill the first
thank you.
time? Yeah. I mean, I wasn't sure about it, and then I don't know if I was just caught up in Switch fever and was like, I need more games or what. But
I
I ended up playing through it again.
I was going to Vegas with friends, and I just had this, fantasy of getting drunk in Vegas and, playing it in a casino bar somewhere, which we almost sort of did. We were not at all drunk, and we played it in a food court, but close enough.
Which tells so much about your Vegas experience versus the rest of the world's Vegas experiences.
No. Let me clarify. That is my Vegas experience has become my wife's Vegas experience.
Yeah.
Because she's the one who goes to Vegas and wants to be in bed by like 9 p.m. Yeah, she's the boring Vegas person. My single Vegas experience was stuff of legend, as I'm sure yours would be as well, if you lived near Vegas.
No, not anymore. I'm too old and lazy now. I just sit in the hotel playing Switch. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Have we had any other physical? Well, I guess there was the there was the special edition Zelda stuff, but we really haven't gotten anything like this. Or a sweet coin.
Especially not something that's come out late. Yeah, that's the thing.
The lateness of it's the offensive part.
Well, there was the Zelda Adventures bundle or something like that that came out.
Yeah, I guess that's out now. That it's like now if you buy Zelda and it's like I was in the weird in between time where I didn't buy it launch day special edition that had anything with it. Although even the basic special edition was more expensive, wasn't it? Because there was one
Was there
that had
special edition?
there was one that had
was
like a Switch case that looks like the Sheikah Slate and
Oh,
a map
that's right.
that
and maybe
I got
a CD.
I got the one that didn't have the big plastic
The statue.
sword.
Yeah,
that
and then there was
the
one that
only-
was the same thing but with a statue. So, but those were more expensive.
I got the
than
one without the
regular.
statue.
Yeah,
because it was like
But I
40
could've
extra
bought it.
bucks for a big piece of plastic, and
Yeah.
I got enough Nintendo plastic. Thank you, amiibos.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to listen to a CD. I don't really want a map. Oh, it might have had a Zelda. I think it had a Zelda coin too, because that's what Reggie was talking about, the fan passion for that coin.
That's right.
The fan passion for this coin. Yeah. That's one of our favorite phrases. I've never heard anybody else except for our group talk about that, but that was during one of the
The fan
Treehouse
passion.
things. He's like, the fan passion for this product has been great. The fan passion for this coin, I think, is really going to be something. And I was just like, fan
Says it
passion.
several times.
Yeah, he says it real quick, real close together.
This is a legitimate competitive gaming experience.
Yeah, man.
It's not waggle control.
This is not wacko
You think they look at
control.
him as like a marketing tool at this point? Like
think
Reggie's
so.
going to say
A
something.
marketing tool, yes. I don't know, man.
Reggie's gonna say something that's going to make people might not be
I
our
think-
product.
I think Reggie's days are numbered. Personally, I think they're going to start looking at him as a relic from a bygone era, and this is the new fancy Switch era. And I think they're going to start culling a lot of the ties to their previous self. And I don't know. I worry for Reggie.
He's a living meme. He'll land on his feet.
I just wondered,
Reg,
when the Switch came out, their big thing was, it's all global. Everything is, you can download games from Japan and so on. I just wonder when it will switch to a global presence from Nintendo, where it will no longer be, here's the Nintendo Direct from America.
Oh, yeah.
When will it just
It
be,
probably helps to have localized ones. Although I kind of feel bad that I think the UK just gets, I mean, theirs is in English as well, right?
Yeah.
So Europe they're like, all of Europe, you're getting one. Like in Japan, it's in Japanese, obviously, and here it's obviously English, but in Europe, they're just like, I guess English is what you guys get too. Like it would help to kind of localize it for each different region.
That might be a lot of effort.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of. I can imagine now watching a YouTube video of like the Lithuanian Nintendo Direct with the third world Reggie.
Well, and that's the thing is Nintendo also wants to control their message. They'd much rather
Right.
they have 3 specific outlets for the regions. They have a 4th one for Australia and New Zealand, or do they just get the Europe stuff?
I don't remember who
Like when they get an
grouped
announcement.
in with.
I think they're considered Asian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
consider it Asia, but I don't know that Asia gets its own separate thing. Like, I don't know how that
Asia
works.
was never. What is the Asian region for Nintendo? I've never, and I know it's expanded in the Switch era, but
Everything
right
that's not
in the
Europe
old days,
or Japan, probably.
yeah, it was North America, period. Mexico,
Yeah.
South America, Central America. Lots of people have them down there, but they're just not an officially recognized Nintendo region.
I mean, they kind of dabble in those places, but the sales aren't significant enough.
And then as far as
pay
Asia
enough
goes,
attention.
I think it was Japan, period. I don't
Korea.
think. Oh, Korea?
Yeah,
Korea's included. Okay.
I think so. I think they have their own.
They have their own region?
Well, in Animal Crossing, they did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking of.
Because I remember I got a turkey from some girl from Korea in Animal Crossing, and I was like, "Ooh, this isn't out here yet."
Well, they had limited edition items that were Korean only.
Right. Yeah, some of the foods and stuff. I don't know
I
how
know
they
Koreans
do it.
are hardcore gamers, but I didn't realize they were part of the Asia region for Nintendo.
The good Korea, though, not the bad one.
Yeah, they only get Game Boys in the bad Korea.
Yeah.
Original Game Boys.
And now they're kind of in China. I have a feeling it's going to be its own separate thing.
Well, since we're kind of hopping into the China subject, there was a little bit of an update from our last episode where we talked about the Nvidia Shield. And at the time, it looked like the news articles were all saying that the GameCube and Wii games that they would be getting would all be streamed in high definition. But the way I understand it now, those are actual ports. Is that
They're actual downloads? Yeah, it's not like it's not the GeForce Now streaming. It's actual game download. Yeah, and I didn't remember that we had sort of solidified that after the podcast last week. But yeah, I mean, again, as we like to point out, the Nvidia Shield TV hardware is very, 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 very similar to the Switch hardware. It's. I have a feeling that the Switch really, the guts of the Switch is what was going to become Nvidia's next attempt at a handheld gaming device, and Nintendo jumped in and said, "Hey, we're doing this." And Nvidia decided it was smarter for them, and they would make more money getting on Nintendo bandwagon and building it for them instead of trying to put it out as their own hardware. And obviously,
Nvidia probably would have used a better chip, though.
Nvidia would have used the X2 probably, whatever, but then Nvidia wouldn't have Joy-Cons. They wouldn't necessarily have, the detachable controllers the way they are, who knows what kind of product Nvidia would have come out with, but they probably were putting out, some sort of gaming tablet along the lines of, at least from the tech specs and the power level and whatever, they were probably looking into putting out a gaming tablet like this.
Right. And the Shield has never really taken off, though.
No, that's the thing is it got a lot of buzz when they announced it because Nvidia is a big name and it's in the PC gaming industry. But then when they put it out, who's going to buy this thing? PC gamers don't care. And if you remember when the thing came out, it was kind of goofy. It was basically like an Xbox controller with a screen attached to it that folded down. It wasn't something you could take in your pocket. Not that the Switch is. Well, sort of. But right, it was a big bulky thing that was not really portable. I mean, it was portable in that you could carry it around, but you needed to have.
You could take it in the car. You could take it up to the plane.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
just couldn't
exactly.
walk
You
around
could
with it all
throw it
day.
in a
Yeah.
you could throw it in a backpack. Yeah, but it
Right.
was otherwise awkward,
Yeah.
The Switch, I can take
Same
the
as the
Joy and
Switch, kind of.
I do it often enough. I take the Switch, I take the Joy-Cons off, I throw them in one pocket and I throw the screen in the other. I've done it often enough and it works. It's workable. There's no way with that thing though. It's like it's
It's
shoving
like
a whole
having two
Xbox
3DS
controller.
XLs.
Yeah, kind of. Actually, it's more like having a 3DS XL and a small 3DS, but whatever.
Yeah. And who hasn't walked through a store with two 3DSs, one in each pack?
I'm embarrassed to admit, I think most of us on this podcast have probably walked through a store with two 3DSs in their
Except
pants
for
at some
Max,
point.
probably, because she's
Yeah.
lucky enough to have a
I have
purse.
2 in my purse. Yeah.
2 in the purse. Yeah, sorry.
I've done
It is
it
supposed to
double.
pants. I know. As soon as I said pants, I was like, oh, Max has them in the purse. Yeah, because if I had
Well, see,
if
that
I
makes
carried
her
a
the
purse,
least
that's where I'd keep
sad
them.
out of all of us if we had to
My pants don't have
inconvenience
pockets.
our walk.
Sorry, Max.
My pants don't have pockets.
Oh yeah, see, yeah, chick pants don't have pockets. Same thing with the wife. Wife would always complain if I, had to throw my 3DS in her purse because alongside with it, like her 3DS was a small one and it was light, but she always complained because the XL was too heavy, it made her purse too heavy.
I remember having to learn how to walk again once I got a 3DS XL.
Yeah. At least, and keep your pants up, right?
Yeah, it's like, well, I guess I could tighten my belt a little bit, and eventually I probably won't. I mean, it is kind of like a wallet. Like, eventually you kind of stop feeling it all day.
Yeah.
But at first you're just like, wow, I'm walking with this humongous chunk of plastic in my pocket.
They always had mine in a case, which made it even bigger and bulkier. So it's
Wow.
like it's sticking out the top of your pocket. It's like, I hope nobody thinks I'm trying to steal something. It's
Wait,
just
when you say a case, are you talking like a thing that just a protector that goes around the 3DS, or are you talking about an actual
like a little
zippered
zip up
case?
pouch. Yeah, zippered case.
Wow.
Wow. No, see, I would have like the plastic shell on it, but that,
Yeah.
which was bad
I
enough.
thought about getting one of those for my new 3DS.
If you get one, there's this new kind that's this weird kind of rubberized plastic that's really nice. I'll have to dig it up. It is, but there were a lot of clear cases that are just regular old hard clear plastic, and they will scrape the crap out of your unit. Yeah. But
I think
these
Hori
are
makes
like
a plastic one that's clear.
Yeah,
looks
but
like
there's
it's kind of rubbery.
I gotta look. Yeah, just get one of the rubbery ones. There's a few of them, and it's. I think Hori may have been the one that made it, but yeah.
My solution has just been not to carry my 3DS with me almost anywhere anymore.
I know you went out and bought this brand new fancy new 3DS for the new Metroid and whatever, and now you have.
Well, I just did it out of love of Metroid and Samus. Of
course,
but, yeah, it's like there's no reason. Like there's with all the stuff dead, like the relays are pretty much gone. I never really in my area got wild street passes, or very, very rarely. It would have been something if the 3DS was a little bit faster at street passing. I feel like if I could, if you could take it on a trip or something and be able to drive by somebody and it would just connect and give you a street pass that way, I feel like I probably could have had a lot more on these long car trips.
I got a street pass here and there on the freeway over the years, but literally like 2 or 3 times, and only when I'm pretty sure traffic. Exactly, very heavy, heavily, very slow traffic. So it's like, okay, but I know what you mean, man. They didn't. The process takes too long.
Well, sometimes it's worse when you actually know that someone's, like, when you've got a friend over and they've got their 3DS, and you're like, geez, why isn't it? And you're opening and closing it. You're like, why isn't it picking this up? So then I'm always well, how was I ever supposed to get one in the wild?
Well, see, and I'm sure anybody who has 2 3DSs also, but like with me and the wife, we were able to. It was like 3 times a day. So when it didn't happen, we'd notice. Sometimes it just wouldn't. Like it would miss a cycle. Or one of us would get it, but not the other.
Right.
That was the other weird one. Is sometimes one of us would pick, the other person up, but yeah, I don't know. It was never a perfect, thing, but it was fun.
Yeah, there
I
was
guess
a lot
the
of stuff.
the flakiness might have made it, a little more exciting. I guess because you never knew for sure if it was going to work.
I still think that they could do something like that for Switch. If they just had like a, some peripheral that you could buy that would work like that, and then you just go home and put it into the IR and it downloads it like the Wii Fit meter.
Oh,
or
you
Wii U
mean like
Fit
a
meter.
Street Pass thing?
Yeah, like a little,
That
Oh,
a little.
they can do. Here's the thing. It's
'Cause-
got Bluetooth,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, they
The
could do
unit.
something small enough that you could easily carry in your pocket, and it wouldn't be,
Oh, as opposed to the whole Switch. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's just
a
something that like
Joy-Con.
would remotely, it would like remotely, pick this stuff up, and then when you go home, you can just download those things to your whatever.
One
I don't know.
Joy-Con.
They could do like because I keep thinking as many mobile games as are on the Switch and ever growing,
Wait a
Nintendo
minute.
could do stuff like a Street Pass game, and
They totally could. And again, no, I'm serious about the Joy-Con. It's got Bluetooth.
have you carry?
It's
Yeah,
got a means to save data. Right, you can
well,
save like I know there's it's got some amount of memory on the Joy-Con. I remember reading that somewhere. Like, remember how the Wiimotes, you could store your Miis on them,
yeah, I guess
right?
so.
So I'm pretty sure the Joy-Cons have some
Something
means
like
of
that.
storing data back and forth because they've got to be able to hold volatile setting changes and things like that. I'm sure there's a means that you could theoretically do it with just carrying a Joy-Con
I guess
around in
just
your
by the
pocket.
fact that when you put the Joy-Con onto the Switch and it recognizes what color it is, there's got to be something in there that's telling it.
Yeah, there's firmware data. There's totally.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you could carry a Joy-Con around in your pocket, theoretically. It could ping out every so often. It's totally theoretically doable. Whether it's practical and whether it would
you'd be
much of a
ready to
pain in the ass, I
go.
don't know.
The thing is, there's no feedback on it to say you got this many
Rumble.
things.
HD
Have an HD rumble whenever.
Yeah.
It could
Are
vibrate.
you
for
listening,
the-
Nintendo? We've made that product that people didn't know that they wanted.
Yeah. There you go. We've actually
Yeah.
we've actually come up with a use for the HD Rumble that you spent all this money to put in your Joy-Cons.
I
Feels
tried
like
to
there's
make a
3
use for that.
passes in there. So you shake it
Oh,
in
it
your
has
hand.
to be the right one so that you can use the IR sensor. Oh,
No, you don't need the IR.
I know.
You just need the Bluetooth. Yeah,
I was just
but right.
trying to make. There's
I
just
like
nobody's using that damn thing.
I like Jason's idea, right? You got to roll the balls in the box, and however many balls there are, that's how many street passes
So
you
many
got.
street passes you got.
So you have to
always
figure out
picking
how
up your
many
Joy-Con and
passes
trying to
you got
roll
by
it back
shaking
and
it
forth.
and rolling them. Yeah,
that would
I've
probably
got
require
5
the
people
Switch.
in there.
like souls captured in Mario Odyssey.
Totally, yeah. It's like you captured their me souls as you've passed them, and then you gotta. Yeah, it's like the Ghostbusters containment unit. Then you get to take them home and load it. Latch it onto your Switch, and then it loads their souls into your Switch.
See, that's the kind of goofy fun that that the Switch hasn't been able to capture yet.
Yeah, it does exactly. See, that's what's missing from the modern Nintendo of 2017, and we need some of that
it's very
back.
uptight. It's very stuffy, the Nintendo Switch.
It is more so than Nintendo used to be. It feels a lot more like a.
There's no Wara Wara
Sony
Plaza.
Or Microsoft. Yeah.
But I guess they needed some of that too. They probably wanted to be taken seriously because that's another thing. I think that they heavily marketed the Switch as like, that first ad didn't have any kids in it. It was just the 20-somethings. So I think they wanted to be kind of taken seriously and not seen as a kiddie console.
They want to be seen as the kind of thing you're going to play under a bridge after a game of basketball with your other millennial pals.
Yeah, like as you do.
Those rooftop parties that we have every weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. I feel as though I really derailed this conversation from whatever our topics were. But at least we've invented a new product out of it.
That's right. And since we're talking about new products and accessories for the Switch, I know Z's got a few there that he's been playing with.
8-bit do what Nintendo don't.
Yeah.
You're saying they call themselves 8-bit do?
I believe
Really?
they pronounce it 8-bit do, from what I've heard. Although it looks like 8-bit do to me.
It should be 8-bit though, right? It's if that's
For a
what they're
company that
going
makes
for.
basically Nintendo controller clones, yeah.
Yeah, and beautiful ones.
Yeah.
So all of my initial quirks with this thing, it turns out that when you start this thing, there's a bunch of weird button combos. It's reminiscent of the old Konami code. Like you got to hold down X and the trigger and start if you want to start it in switch mode so that it's ready to pair with a switch, or you got to hold down Y and B and then hit start if you want to boot it up in Android mode. So that was what was throwing me. You can't. It's I don't know. There's already been 2 firmware updates out for it in the 2 days that I've gotten it, or 2 days since I got it, or day since I got it. Sorry. And it's not. You need to be comfortable with that kind of thing if you're gonna have it. Like you would need you need to be familiar with downloading firmware drivers and how to do that process, and it's not.
Although it shouldn't be that rough. I mean, you just basically hook it up to a PC with a USB cord, right?
It's anybody who's got any sort of technical chops can do it. It's just if you want something that you're just gonna buy and use, it's not that. Because like out of the box, I think I have to look at the revision history, but out of the box it didn't support a bunch of stuff, and it like the switch functionality was kind of broken.
I think I remember them talking of like earlier this year about people buying it for the Switch. Like I think Shovel Knight was one of that was like one of the early games that came out. That it's basically, I guess we haven't really explained. It's basically like a Super Nintendo controller. You've got, is it the FC30 Pro or
that's the
something like
Famicom
that?
one. This is the
Okay.
SN30 Pro. Yeah,
Okay,
but
and it's
there's
got
the SF30 Pro is the Famicom color and
I see.
style, but they have 2
It's
of
like
the
a Super
exact
NES
same
controller with
controller.
two like analog sticks on it, basically
2
at the
analog
bottom.
sticks, extra triggers, pushable sticks. So it's got a full and 2 additional buttons that function as a home and a screen capture.
And
So it's
ZLZRs.
yeah. So it's got the full complement that would be on a Switch Pro controller. Period. It's got everything.
No HD rumble.
It has rumble, not HD rumble. It has motion controls even, which is neat. And I didn't think any of their other ones previously did. I'd have to triple check that.
No, I don't know.
But the motion controls, it's $50. And again, this is the Pro one with the 2 sticks. There's also one that looks really exactly like an old Super Nintendo controller, which is discontinued almost certainly because it looked like an exact replica of an original.
Although
Super
I think
Nintendo.
they have a newer version of that coming out with a different color scheme on it.
Yeah, it just looks. Yeah, it's the same
Yeah.
shape, but the face looks different because they absolutely positively got nailed by Nintendo.
It actually looks like now the new one kind of to me reminds me of those Acclaim wireless controllers for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Or whatever that had probably had double A's in them.
Mm-hmm. But these, I can't rave enough. $50 is a bit pricey, but it pretty much is an exact. I mean, it's okay. So when all the retro 8-bit games, people were remaking old retro games, and they were all the rage, and they're still kind of a thing. But I remember when they first started becoming really big. One of the first articles I remember, one of the best quotes that I heard was, "It plays as good as you remember, not as good as the game really played, because the gameplay on that game really kind of sucked, but it plays as good as you kind of wished it played and remember it playing."
Well, they said that about Shovel Knight. They said like it doesn't actually use the same color scheme and everything as the Nintendo. Like it takes advantage of some newer stuff, but they're like, it basically, your mind would think like, oh, this could have been on the NES, even though technically it couldn't have been, because it's
and like the control scheme somehow is just a little bit smoother and more fluid. The better example I give is, or a more direct example, is that Blaster Master Zero. Which really does feel, it's like they fixed every annoying quirk about the controls in the original game. And so when you're playing it, it's like, oh, this is that old game. It's beautiful. It's great. And you just kind of, your mind forgets how frigging annoying some of those things were that you had to kind of learn to work around in the old days that now you don't. So it's the same kind of thing here. It, like when you're holding it, it's like, oh yeah, this is the old Super Nintendo controller. It is, but it's just a little bit thicker and just a little bit more rounded and just slightly more ergonomic and more comfortable, like significantly
with a
more
Super NES Classic out, people are gonna be able to feel that classic controller all over again.
Yeah, and I tried it out on the little mini Super Nintendo, and it's great. I mean, it's right, to me, I prefer it over the one that is really a complete replica of the Super Nintendo controller because it's also got the full complement of stuff. I can use it. I've played Splatoon on it multiple times now. They just put out another update because I noticed last night the rumble was acting a little weird, and now it's acting fine. I just played another round while you guys were talking earlier. So it's small. It's like pocket sized. Like it's significantly for my desk. For example, I have my work desk and I have too much crap on my work desk, and the Pro controller is just too big to find a spot to throw on my work desk. But I can just throw this thing anywhere because it's tiny. It's a Super Nintendo controller with no cord on it.
And if you knew anybody that had any emulators, they could probably play those games on that as well.
I would not know anything about that, but this controller, of course, supports Android, Mac OS, Windows. There's presets for Steam, apparently, or maybe it just probably uses the standard Xbox setup for Steam. And it maps everything perfectly for, again, on the Switch. It's like, it just surprises me. It's a very small controller. I mean, I know they crammed all this stuff into these tiny little Joy-Cons, but these 8-bit do folks, like they're right. They've made a lot of buzz because they're putting out this stuff, and it really is good quality stuff. Really nice, and it's real attention to detail.
That's
like
all I've heard. I've only heard good things about that company.
Yeah, if they continue the way they're continuing, man, I see them becoming a modern replacement for the likes of Hori and PowerA and whoever else.
And I think they do make a wireless Super Nintendo like receiver as well that would fit in your old Super Nintendo or your Nintendo clone stuff. So you can use it on the OG hardware too. Yeah.
Exactly. So so they
for an
they
extra
sell
20 or whatever.
Yeah, they sell 3 different receivers. One that can plug into either of the classic minis. They sell ones that plug into the original NES and the original Super NES, and they will sync with these controllers. Even the little receivers that they sell have, just again, attention to detail. Even the little receivers that plug into the minis look like they have the little ridged pattern off to one side like the old NES did. Just, little, they could just very easily be a little black box, but they're not. They actually look like a little Nintendo product, or like, a little retro Nintendo product. So I just, and just everything about them, the packaging is fancy. They seem to be a classy operation over there. They're getting patches out. They've got 2 or 3 patches out within a day of this thing hitting, or within 2 days of this thing hitting the street. Both of which have, corrected minor issues that were the same kind of things that Joy-Cons had with various games when the Switch first launched. So I don't know. I just, from coming, because I do technical stuff for a living, and so I deal with a lot of technical companies of varying efficiency and how quickly do they, like, I sent these guys an email support. How quickly did they get back to me? A few hours. It wasn't blazing fast, but it's fast enough. You know what I mean? It seems like
probably a group of like 10 guys in an office somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea. They could be a really small company, or they could be. They probably are. It probably is just 10 guys somewhere. But yeah, I just everything I've seen from all the poking I've done over the past week with these guys and the products I bought is like, wow, these guys really do have their stuff together, and I'm expecting more and better things from them down the road.
Awesome. Maybe they'll put out a Genesis controller eventually, so you can play those.
I mean, again, they have a nice fight stick. They have, Famicom and NES, and they have, right. They started out making almost an exact duplicate of the original NES controller, but with 4 buttons and triggers, right? With everything on a Super Nintendo controller, and that, of course, got discontinued immediately. And then the original duplicate of the Super Nintendo controller discontinued immediately.
I didn't like the way the NES one looked because of the 4 buttons. Like, I understand
looked a little weird.
Yeah, I understand for modern game, or not even modern gaming, but just for like using it for, phone games and stuff. It helps to have those extra buttons. But that's why the Super NES controller, it really hasn't been beaten to this day. You look at the Switch controller.
Yeah.
The Switch controller is basically a Super Nintendo controller. I mean, they've added some things, but the 4 buttons, the L and R's, like, that's the foundation of what any controller is now.
Well, wait a minute. No, a sideways Joy-Con is a Super Nintendo controller.
Yeah, you're right.
Basically, yeah. I mean, swap out the D-pad for a stick and whatever, but it's the same basic control scheme, and it has been forever. And you're right, Nintendo set that standard, and I think I mentioned, I didn't mention during the cast, but right, the one thing missing, and the one thing I hadn't forgotten, but when you play with a Super Nintendo controller, it was the era before they realized that having a grip in your hand was a good thing, right? Like every modern controller has something that you're actually gripping in each hand, whereas this is a flat little pad. So after after a few rounds of Splatoon, for example, I start to get that old Super Nintendo hand cramp from when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
A little bit. That you don't get with like a Pro controller or whatever. But outside of that, I played, Yooka-Laylee, because I got my early copy. I played a good 2 or 3 hours of Yooka-Laylee with it, and never once felt any real strain because it's a different kind of game, right? Splatoon is constant intensity, and it's player versus player combat, versus Yooka-Laylee is a nice little platforming, kind of leisurely kind of game. And it's no problem with it on that. I loved it.
I saw that in the coming soon section in the Switch today, and had Sticker Shock all over again. I don't know
$40.
How I'd forgotten that it's $40, but man, that seems high. There's some other party game I saw that's on the Switch right now that's $40, and I'm just like, $40 for a party game? You're not going to sell any of these.
Well, here's the thing: Yooka-Laylee launched at $40 on everything else, so I'll give them that. And it's, I don't know, just from playing it, it's a big title. I mean, it's a pretty, like, it really is a modern version of one of those old collectathons, one of those old N64 games. It's updated, it's pretty, it looks good. I mean, but it's still, I would say it's updated to, well, you can tell, okay, the original game was going to launch on the Wii U, right?
Right.
And then it eventually got pushed to the Switch. But
like so many
it looks like they weren't, you know what I mean? It looks like they were aiming for Wii U level of graphical quality, which isn't bad. It's just, it's
kind of got a touch of Nintendo 64 to it, right?
Yeah, well, that was the thing, is they were going for that look. So I think part of it is intentional. It looks a lot like Snake Pass, right? It's cartoony by nature. It's not intended to look realistic. So it's the same kind of game, but it's big worlds. It's a well done. I think part of my benefit is going in knowing that people were kind of, overall people liked it, but it was like, and I know it had a lot of bugs when it launched, which most of them have been fixed. I enjoyed, I played a hell of a lot of just kind of the first world. most of it, and I enjoyed it pretty thoroughly. You know, it's I love Donkey Kong 64. I love that kind of thing.
Right.
It's a little
Yeah, it's like a
collectathon
3D
heavy.
platformer type of thing.
Yeah, it's
And
your
since it's
standard.
on Switch, you can count on it dropping frames probably not being as crisp as all.
So far so good. I noticed a couple hitches in the opening cinematics,
Yeah.
but in actual gameplay, there was never a point that I ever noticed any kind of slowdown or whatever. It plays smooth and beautiful, and I'm sure it looks significantly better on my PC or another console, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Um, and
What
again,
I'm
go ahead.
what I'm wondering is at that price point, and it's been so long since it's come out on the other consoles. Are people, that's picking up a Switch right now, or people that already have a Switch, are they going to be looking at that and say, I've heard about this game for months, or maybe I've never heard of this game. Is there any buzz there to actually sell the game
Yeah.
at $40?
I don't know. There's a ton of buzz from backers, but
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those titles that's going to have anybody who's been around video games, I think, and the logo, you can look at the font and stuff on the logo and kind of know it's a Banjo and Kazooie type of thing. So some people, I bet you they'll even get a few sales from people thinking that it's a game they played before. Like, oh, I used to play this game all the time. Shovel Knight's probably had a few of those. They're like, oh, I used to love that on the NES. I'm
I
gonna
totally
buy
remember this game.
Yeah. I'm sure. It's like when a movie comes out and then there's like the generic ripoff that has kind of a box in the rental store that looks a little bit like, like they'll put out Twister will be out in the theater and they'll be like, here's Tornado, and it's got like a box cover that looks kind of similar.
Yeah.
It's probably that type of thing where they probably get a few of those.
Yeah, you spot those on eBay now, or on eBay, on Amazon and stuff. Whereas before, yeah, you'd see them in the store. But it's almost like the in the old days when they used to have the porno movies with those great titles.
Not to imply in any way that Shovel Knight or Yooka-Laylee are of the same quality as those knockoff
of course
movies.
not. No, obviously.
they're much higher.
No, and I Shovel Knight, obviously, and again, I'm falling down on the side of giving Yooka-Laylee a pass. I like it.
Yeah.
I think it to me, honestly, it feels more like a successor to that era of Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, than say Mario Odyssey. You know what I mean? It feels
that there was that
because it's
time where
more
the
like that.
Crash Bandicoots and there's the 3D platformers are their own little niche thing. I think
Started, of course, by Mario 64.
Mario 64, yeah.
Yep. But it's definitely I don't know, if you have nostalgia for that period, you'll probably like it. If you have nostalgia for those kind of games, which I do, and if you don't, then you'll just find it probably annoying.
I got no love for the Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, or Banjo.
The N64 banana controller was hella cool. One more thing about 8-bit do or whatever. If they ever put out a GameCube, I don't think they ever will. Here's a side note. This is what I decided. I don't think they'll ever get that far. I think they've already got Nintendo's attention. I think Nintendo is missing the boat big time by not putting out the same thing. They should be putting out original Nintendo NES controllers wireless.
Well, yeah, they should have done that back on the Wii or on the Wii U. I mean,
they took that
console,
tentative step that direction with the GameCube controller adapter for Smash Brothers. But yeah, they should have gone whole hog. They should have been pumping out wireless NES and SNES and even N64 and GameCube controllers for, well, I guess not GameCube, but right for.
But now they're in the mode where they're remaking at least the NES controller and the Super NES controller.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Jason.
Yeah, no.
I'm just going to disagree with you guys here. I think if they started producing controllers for NES style and Super NES style, there'll be a few of us that are nostalgic that are going to go pick it up.
Oh no!
Picturing going into Walmart and there being 2 shelves of them here because they're going to be full price for the next 14 years.
Well,
I don't know.
that's the problem is Nintendo would do it in a crappy way
Yeah,
where they would
that's what I'm
charge
getting
50
at.
or $60 for the
But
thing.
but what they would do is they'd put out like 12 of them total. Right.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. They wouldn't have a ton of stock on any of them for
They
sure.
do.
And
They
then
do.
they'd be
I
scalped
think.
on eBay.
Yeah, Nintendo could do a short run of these. That's true. But the thing is there's no way that I mean,
Classic controller series.
Unless this company gets a direct license from Nintendo to do
Yeah.
this stuff, they're not going to be able to continue doing these. I imagine.
Right.
Now that'd be the smarter move to me is if
For
Nintendo
Nintendo?
popped up and like said, "Hey guys,
Hey,
we see what
guys,
you're
yeah.
doing. Let's
Come
license
work
some
for
stuff."
us. Yeah.
Yeah, because if Nintendo's smart, they're going to look and go, "Hey, you guys are actually producing a pretty nice product over there. How about we how about we do some licensing paperwork and make you guys all official?" If Nintendo's smart, they totally would. Because these guys are, I mean, you know what I mean? We've all bought Hori stuff. I've bought the Nyko stuff.
Yeah.
May I bitch again about the Nyko dock? That's just a problem. And now I'm looking at that. Now that I know that Insignia is Best Buy's house brand, though, I'm less inclined to look at that Insignia dock.
Yeah,
How
I
much
noticed
was that, Mo?
I think it was $40. I was in Best Buy the other day and said
I paid $45 for mine, and it's retails at $50.
Insignia makes their own little portable dock thing alternative.
Well, if Best Buy's
that one
house
breaks
brand
your
does,
Switch, it's on
then
Best
everybody
Buy.
does.
Yeah.
That's true.
Maybe. I don't know. The Insignia kind of sometimes makes some they kind of have some unique products. And sometimes I remember when Amiibo came out, there were some Insignia like Amiibo cases and stuff that were like unique to them that seemed to have some Nintendo like branding type stuff on it.
They had the Insignia case was that neat question mark box case for Amigos, wasn't it? I think that was
I don't know if that was them or not.
Was it not?
Wait, you know what? No, because there was two of them. There was two of them because the first one that was like glossy, that's the one that I've got. That's like a plastic. But then there was one that was like cloth, and I think that might have been Insignia. I don't know. Either way, I think it probably is okay. I don't know. I thought about it. I looked at it and I said, man, I don't know. I just don't trust anything now.
Yeah. No, especially and I jumped on the Nyko dock because I don't know, I figured it would be safe enough. But
it's the dream.
In hindsight, anything that's managing the power, I guess I'd rather be first party. Right?
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Like in the old days, I remember I bought a third-party cheapo 3DS charger, and that was always the one that had the flaky connector, right?
Yeah.
That was always the one that you'd have to like wiggle it or it wouldn't charge. And I don't know. I really should.
Yeah. It's too much to risk though with a $300 system to be like.
Exactly. And
for the luxury of having it on a second TV.
I still use the thing, and in my case, it's for the desktop dock capability as well, which is nice. I don't leave it on it, and I watch the battery. If I see the battery start draining for no apparent reason, I just yank it off.
Sad that you have to do that. Well, that's a lot of see, the only product I got was I bought one of those sweet PowerA Nintendo Switch game cartridges. They're cartridge holders. Game case, I guess they call it. Pretty dandy. Holds 12 games.
I'd say those are pretty sweet looking. They come in a few styles.
They've got one. Yeah, they've got one that's a POW block that I probably would have preferred. Maybe. I don't know. The question block's pretty classy.
There's a couple Zelda versions.
There's a Zelda's and there's a Mario one that's just got the. Does anybody really buy? Like, I wonder if people buy Mario stuff. I see a lot of Mario stuff, but like, are people out there buying like a case that just has a red M and a white circle? And like they've got like the Mario Joy-Con grips and stuff. That
I imagine those are the things that grandparents buy for kids.
Buy for their grandkids, yeah. Oh, he likes the Mario.
Yeah.
I know. The GameStop here had a display, and one side was Mario like controllers.
And the other was Zelda. Yeah, I saw that.
The Zelda with half of it was gone, and Mario one looked almost full.
Yeah, because they've got like the pro controller type thing. It's like a wired controller, and yeah, there's a Zelda version and I think a Mario version. I guess maybe it's not for us. Maybe it's for little kids. Maybe Mario is Mickey Mouse. And,
The new Mickey Mouse.
yeah, like we can be okay with Mario, but we're not gonna go buy it unless it's a cereal. That's completely different. but yeah, I was looking there.
I
But
just
yeah,
want to see question mark marshmallows. That's what I want to see. Or question mark block marshmallows. Those
And
are
I
in
think
there.
there's mushrooms, and mushrooms.
And mushrooms.
Although from all the reviews I've heard are all like, well, I think this is supposed to be a question block, but it's a little deformed.
Well, that's exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of guessing.
Just like with anything else, especially when they do the marshmallows that are have printing on them, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
like where they actually got a design on them. Yeah, it never looks good.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to smack that thing against one of the controllers trying to read the amiibos. So I can say,
you could just push the controller up to the box. You don't have to bash your controller with the box.
Did you not see the video of the guy who apparently got a early copy and it's like he spent 5 minutes trying to scan that thing? He's like, you rub it this way or raise it up, press it down.
I'll tell you what, I think scanning amiibo there's some sort of weird delay with the Switch, kind of, where I do it a lot with the Pro controller, I guess. I don't know if I've actually done it on the Joy-Con, but like you're trying to find that sweet spot for it to read.
On the Joy-Con, it's even harder because it's on the stick. Yeah. And so you're not even putting it flat down. It's awkward.
You know, it would have been a little bit slick.
It's not going to read. You remove it, then it gives you the error, and then you have
it gives you the error that you pulled it away too soon. Of course,
it'd have been a little bit slicker if, like, which I guess there's not much real estate on these controllers or on the Pro controller, but it'd be nice if there was just a round base, like a recessed round thing. It was just like, drop the amiibo in here, and it just
the 3DS was really the ultimate solution, where it was
to just
the
put it
bottom
in the
screen. It was just the right size.
Isn't it kind of weird that they didn't do that with this? Well, I guess with the Switch, you might be playing on your TV, so I guess
yeah. And plus, right, all that weird tech is now built into the Joy-Con.
Yeah. Anyway,
I just want to know
moving. We got lots more
what
shit.
costume you get in the Super Mario Maker if you scan the box.
What you get?
Remember, in Super Mario Maker, every amiibo would give you a costume. What do you get for the cereal box? A cereal box?
I don't know if they've. I guess it depends if they've updated the.
If they still are updating it, they probably are.
If they've updated, I know they did. They did do an update. I heard like a couple within the last month, I think.
Oh, really? It probably just
there was a Mario Maker
just shut down online access, or just deleted most people's courses.
Went through and
they're probably still
known for that.
They're still trying to balance the loss of Miiverse, probably.
By the way, I just thought
that was how you posted courses. Wait a minute. How do you share courses?
Yeah, they fixed that. There is some other way,
that was what that patch last month was. I'm sorry, Jason. Go ahead.
Wasn't there a online, like a website where you could share your courses and?
It's called Twitter.
That was called Miiverse.
No, I mean, wasn't there a dedicated Mario website? Mario website? I think there was.
There might have been. You might be right.
One of the few Wii U owners that never bought that game. I'll wait for Mario Maker Deluxe.
It was a fun experience. Yeah,
it was fun.
Maybe.
It wasn't hardcore like some people, but making your own level was fun a few times.
It was I did 3 or 4, and I got a bunch of likes on them or whatever. I did some. I was proud of them. I did a couple decent ones. And I played a shitload of other people's. I had a good time with it. I put in way more time on. I mean, I bought it out of duty, right? Same reason we buy a lot of Nintendo stuff. You just feel compelled to, but you're not particularly excited about it.
Gotta help the team.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like the Super Nintendo, right? I wasn't excited to be getting it. It was just relief that I was not going to be bothered about it anymore. but it's the same kind of thing with this. But I really ended up putting a lot more time in it than I expected. It's a neat idea, and I think I'm surprised it's not been moved to Switch already. Kind of.
It will. Like,
Yeah, they're saving it for something.
We've talked
it
about,
and
like, I feel
Smash
like
are really the two big ones. Like, I know there's Pikmin and there's other stuff that can come out, but I think Mario Maker and Smash are the two that they know are going to generate huge buzz when they drop them on Switch. So as Mo has pointed out before with Smash, they're saving them for a rainy day. They want to keep their momentum going,
which might be next year. Like, I know. I don't think next year is going to be boom, boom, boom like this year. I don't think it can be.
It could. It really could. Smash is going to be huge. Mario Maker will be a big deal even as a re-release. Well, both are re-releases.
I still think we'll see Tropical Freeze, and maybe at some point. See, now that Mario Odyssey is out, I don't know how I feel about if Super Mario 3D World would come out. At least not right away, I guess.
It won't right away. You're right.
It seems too cool of a thing to just die with the Wii U.
No, it won't. But no, seriously, think about next year. Just let's speculate a little bit. We're
getting ahead of ourselves there. Shouldn't we save that for another episode, maybe where we...
Not necessarily, because right now we're totally speculating out of our asses, and we'll have actual information later.
That's true. I think we're planning on in a little while before this year's over doing a little bit of talking about
retrospective and what's coming out.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, based on your general statement that we can't have a bang 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 year, I start thinking about, right, when we start thinking about the stuff that they still can potentially have in the pipe and stuff that could still be potentially brought over from Wii U, they can continue to, they can keep this pace up for another year, I think.
We'll see. Port.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong, and a lot of it will be that.
We could be talking this time next year about 2018, the year of the port.
Yeah.
It's a little, too realistic and scary to think about.
I know.
No, I know. Not that this. I mean, well, did we think we were? Who thinks we were going to get more ports than we did this year? And
I thought we were going to. Yeah, I thought we would see. I thought they were going to just do everything this year. I thought we were going to see, like, Smash for sure. I
was surprised Smash didn't come out this year.
3D World. I guess I didn't think about 3D World competing with Odyssey of having two different Mario games out at the same time. So now they're going to have to let that cool for a while.
Yeah, as soon as they announced the new Mario, it was like, oh, okay. I wasn't expecting it. But Smash was kind of a surprise that didn't drop. But then what I thought? I thought Smash, I thought they needed something for, between Odyssey and Xenoblade. And what did they get between Odyssey and Xenoblade? They got Skyrim, LA Noire.
Yeah, that's one of the third parties.
Resident Evil. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, Smash is like, there is a certain demographic that Smash is for. But I feel like Smash is not necessarily for everybody the same way Mario Kart is for everybody. So it makes sense that was
Smash is not for casuals. Yeah. Smash is much more for gamers.
So Mario Kart was the better pick probably for.
Yeah.
Although,
and it's got the name.
I feel like
Mario in the title,
Mario,
so that helps.
Right? Yeah.
That helps. But they whip up. I mean, you know what I mean. They've been whipping up all this buzz about, legitimate competitive gaming experiences, though. Right from the get-go with Switch, that was one of their key talking points. So to me, it seemed natural.
They've got their own Twitter account for Nintendo Versus.
Exactly. To me, it seemed natural they'd be fast-tracking stuff like Smash.
Yeah.
But again,
maybe it's the whole prospect of having to reproduce 30 amiibo.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. I think it's more a case of that is as it's not it doesn't have Mario in the title. But as far as Nintendo and legitimate competitive gaming, that is it.
Yeah.
Right.
But
that's
you forget.
Pretty much.
That's Nintendo's Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
We've already had our legitimate competitive gaming experience
with ARMS, yeah.
And that was ARMS. And then Splatoon 2 is they're constantly
Don't
think
you remember the
it's more
commercial of the
offensive.
auditorium, the huge coliseum where people are all watching people playing Splatoon?
Yeah,
2?
okay, but melee tournaments have been going on for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean. As far as legitimate
Yeah.
Nintendo competitive gaming, Splatoon's just finally kind of getting there.
Yeah.
And you know they're trying. Don't get me wrong. I just mean Smash is the only thing they've ever had, and they've had it since the 64.
Yeah, like I said, that's
Um,
definitely their main. If you say Nintendo Fighter,
yeah.
Nintendo
So
competitive
so
game, that's
so
gonna be
I
them.
think the same way they've kind of built up everything to this Christmas as far as the Switch sales and production and everything, I think they're gonna try to build up their legitimate competitive gaming experiences up to like their big bang will be Smash.
Yeah.
And I just don't know when it'll be.
Or do they need it? Like I said, they could wait until sales slow down because, as we've learned this week, they're doing pretty good.
Yeah, but they don't seem to be. They don't seem that. At least at this point, it seems like all of this has been planned pretty well in advance, except for their online service, which obviously they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, you just wait, buddy, when that direct drops. I got this master plan all laid out.
We all talked, you know, on our first few podcasts, I think we all talked about how this is a very unfinished beta console.
Yeah.
Yep.
They got you right where they want you.
Yeah.
By the ball.
We've all bought in anyway. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like the
Yeah.
Kickstarter era where people just pay money on the assumption that they're getting something down the road.
We've got an early
That's pretty
access
much.
Nintendo system.
Yeah, but then again, they gave us really the best teaser ever, game of the year.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, here, you can buy our beta console and you can beta test it for us. And yeah, we know this sucks and that sucks and whatever, but here's Zelda.
Nintendo does that, though, even with the Super Nintendo. I mean, I don't know what was game of the year back then, but if it wasn't Super Mario World, I don't know what the hell it would have been. Or Mario 64, or, you know, or regular Mario Brothers. Like, they haven't done that in a while. I mean, Wii Sports, I guess, was a thing, but
I don't know. I hear people refer to Link to the Past far more often than Mario World.
Yeah, but that's like how everybody knows the Beatles are great, but nobody ever mentions the Beatles when they're talking about their favorite bands. It's just Beatles understood. It's like with Mario World, it's like that's just a given. Well, of course that's an amazing game. It doesn't get enough credit unless it comes up in a fight between Mario 3 and Mario World.
Yeah, and that's really
everyone knows Mario
that's
World's
what the fight is. I don't know.
Yeah.
OG
anyway,
for me.
We've given Jason a million things he could segue off of.
Yes.
What direction he wants to go to.
He's kind of jumped all over the topics for the night right there.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to go in a totally different direction and go back a couple of topics ago there.
It's kind of like when you go to a buffet and just lick everything.
Yeah. Which I do out of habit.
So I was going to jump back to who was talking about what games are coming next year. And I think we have, in my opinion, the game next year will be Animal Crossing. And Pocket Camp just now got an update. And I think this thing's going to keep rolling until we get some official news, or at least that's what they hope. So
yeah. I feel like they're bad at managing stuff like that as far as it's however long it should take, it's going to take like 3 or 4 times that long.
That's right.
Which I know Jason's already pretty much stopped playing. I've pretty much stopped playing.
I hardly ever started.
Yeah.
The only reason I'd play is for platinum points, and I just don't know if it's worth it or not.
Oh, I didn't think about. Yeah, I haven't even helped any. I haven't helped any villagers yet this week. Well, you haven't either, right?
No.
Or did you hop in today?
No, I haven't done it. I haven't even updated. There was apparently an update out. The last time I tried to open it, it says you need to update, and I just said forget it.
Yeah, they did a thing where it's nice that this one works retroactively. because it kind of pissed me off. The last little deal they had was to invite so many different animals to your town or to your camp or whatever. But I had already invited like 27 of them by the time this happened. I was like, man, it's going to take me forever to build all this. So this new one is make friends with one person, make friends with 5 people, make friends with 10 people. And luckily, since I already had 10 friends, it allowed me to just complete all of them
Nice.
right off the bat and get some Leaf tickets, which I'm not going to use. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, they're updating it. They're adding I don't know if the new update's out now. I know they're adding some stuff to it, like a gardening feature, and
Yeah, it's
I
the
think
picture.
clothes crafting's eventually coming.
Yeah. I don't know how far down the road that is, but yeah, the gardening is what
Yeah,
I've been
because they
seeing
said that's going to
screenshots.
still be a while.
I think
Sadly, the attention is. I mean, I don't know. I wonder what I'm sure they're seeing a pretty steep drop off if you were to look at how that game is doing with engagement.
yeah, you can even see it on your
Much like
friend
everything
list,
else.
even a week ago or two.
Yeah.
A few
Well,
days
yeah.
after
I'll look
out.
at some people. Eric the Arcade Bunny never really got started.
Has anybody heard
I
any
think
numbers?
his said
Don't we usually get some kind of download number?
they gave us some numbers. I think did we talk about that last week? They
Yeah.
kind of released their mobile
It's
numbers.
for the first 9 days.
Yeah, for the first 9 days, it's like it's still in 3rd place behind Mario Run and Fire Emblem, I think. But
And I think a lot of that is people have spent a lot of money on the specials, the limited time specials, thinking this is Animal Crossing, this is worth it.
yeah,
until they've learned otherwise. So
yeah, and that's like you might be like they've got a special deal when you first start the game that you can buy so many Leaf tickets and a net for catching stuff and some honey for catching bugs.
a welcome package.
And it's like, yeah, it's like a $4 welcome package.
Anybody who buys into a free-to-play phone game right off the bat, though, has not played very many free-to-play phone games.
Yeah,
but this is Animal Crossing, though. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, this is,
I suppose,
a legitimate game. This is like a real Nintendo game on your phone.
but not.
Dozens of other ones that you've downloaded.
I'm curious if our silent partner here is still playing. Are you still playing Pocket Camp Max?
Yeah, a little bit.
You fell off a little bit though. You were still trying to build your holiday stuff, right?
Yeah, I got one piece left. I gotta build this
that candy cane grind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't you wish you could trade your? Well, I guess you technically could trade your Leaf tickets for candy canes if you use them to get into the quarry.
Yeah, you know what? I was excited to get the candy canes until I realized they were currency.
Yeah. You're just like, ooh, candy.
Yeah. Oh, I get, little, Christmas items. I get a whole load of candy cans for no apparent reason. Okay, great. I gotta spend these on something. Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's a tree for 500 candy canes. Okay, never mind the candy canes.
Yeah, they're kind of like everything in that game. It's just everything is grinding.
Yeah,
you don't really get anything out. It's like an RPG. People grind and grind to get to a level and increase their stats. You're not really increasing anything in Animal Crossing.
No,
yeah, but that's just Nintendo. That's what Nintendo has decided people think is fun. Grind and grind and grind to get a mini Nintendo, or grind and grind to get a Switch. Yeah.
Grind to try to find some Mario cereal.
Yep.
On a shelf.
It's to a point now. I mean, my decision, as we were talking about earlier, it's like, well, I can play Animal Crossing for a while, or I can quit and, play other games like Splatoon, play a real game for a while.
Yeah. Or I can quit and, as you said earlier, take a nap. That would be better than playing Pocket Camp.
Yeah. It's a better
use of your time.
I dipped into Rocket League again for a little extended period. They've got a holiday thing going where they're giving away like little holiday themed stuff for your car or for your like a player banner or something. that feels more rewarding to me than any of the holiday items in Animal Crossing.
Which, when you finish, you will place in your little outdoor campsite.
Yeah.
And by the time you finish them, you'll be ready to put
And
them.
then at some point in January, you'll stash all that crap, and I never use it again. I should just move my tree into the camper. I think I've got a jungle gym in there now.
I do too.
I was just like, I just want to put something ridiculous inside my camper.
Yeah, that's about what I thought. I got my little tire bench in there too.
Maybe the fireplace would be good. I'll have to check that game out. No, I think with the thing with Rocket League is I know I'll be playing that probably a year from now still. And Animal Crossing will be just another deleted app made by Nintendo.
Yeah, Rocket League is your new Splatoon /
Yeah, like
Steel Diver
I always have like a kind of it's not really a backup, but it's like a constant game that, like, when I'm not playing something else, I can always comfortably just dig in a few hours into those games, which is nice to have because I haven't had one of those in a while.
Because you've been a Nintendo only
yeah
person.
But I have that for systems. I do that with Rogue Squadron 2 on GameCube. I do it with Super Bomberman on the Super Nintendo. I've got like these little games that I'm just like, I know no matter what, I can always just go back to this game and have a good time, and play them endlessly.
I think Splatoon was all of our crutches on
Yeah.
Wii U.
Well, luckily, because there was nothing. I mean, there was nothing else.
Yeah. Some would
But like I
launch.
said, I feel like that spoiled our Splatoon 2, though.
It did,
a little
to a
bit.
degree. It did for me, more so than you guys. Well, having a baby spoiled my Splatoon.
Yeah, but we've played just so much that now with Splatoon 2, it's just like, meh. I struggle to log in and get gear.
I'm having problems with the new gear because it's the old gear from Splatoon 1, and it's like, oh yeah, I've got that shirt.
You're like, oh, I've got that. Oh, I mean, I had it.
I had that.
Yeah, I can't keep track of what you got.
If only there was some way that I could take the game data from the Wii U and put it into the Switch and get all my gear.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
In 2017, you would think, but
yeah.
No.
I mean, well, you've talked about many times, they've not done anything to make life easier for the Wii U owners, for sure.
Hell no.
You think it'd be nice to have like a little tip of the hat, a little wink to those Wii U people. Be like, hey, since you bought in on the Wii U, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Just an acknowledgement of some kind.
Yeah.
Would be nice.
We'll see when the virtual console happens and we end up paying an extra $1 or $2, $4 stuff over.
You know what? I just having to pay an extra $1 per game again would be something.
That's true.
Some indication that yes, the money I dumped into you during the Wii U years has any value to you whatsoever as a company.
You got years of enjoyment out of that.
I
got
you a favor.
I got years of gathering dust out of that, and then I got Splatoon.
The only value Nintendo sees for Wii U is to give things away on my Nintendo. Yeah. There's a great reward for it.
Yeah, they're really, Wii U owners are reaping the rewards of my Nintendo right now, and 3DS owners. Isn't it weird that they launch a new reward program that doesn't at all service their new system?
Oh, I know. Yeah, Switch rewards are coming soon and have been
since launch.
I'm pretty sure since before launch. I'm pretty sure Switch rewards coming soon was up like a month before the actual Switch launched.
Switch rewards are almost tied into the online.
A year now.
Well, they're just not comfortable giving out rewards with a product that's not always connected to the internet.
True.
Yeah.
You could technically download something on your phone in my Nintendo and not be able to get it.
That's true. Once they figure out those bugs, it'll be up and running.
But I don't have a clue what a Switch reward could be.
I mean, they have to wait for some of the games to age out enough.
I guess.
Maybe they'll give you one of those crappy $2 games.
Well, wait a minute. Discounts on software. We don't even know that.
Yeah, I mean that's what it'll be. It'll be discount. It'll be 30% off of ARMS, 20% off of ARMS.
Yeah, ARMS will
10%
absolutely be the
off of
first one
ARMS.
to get a discount.
If they're smart.
Yeah.
But yeah.
25% off a 1-2 switch if you spend 50 gold coins.
Yeah. Although well, I don't know what that discount is right now. It's got a little bit of a discount. Well, I
I
guess
think it's
that's
$10
over now.
off right now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Or it
I think
was.
that's over now. Now there's,
Yeah.
yeah, I've noticed with the Wii or with the Switch sales, like if you look in the eShop, there'll be like 1 week where there's like 20 things on sale, and the next week there's like 2.
Yeah.
And I think we're on one of those 2 weeks right now. Where when I boot it up right now, as of right now, the Bridge and the Jackbox Party Pack are the only 2 items currently on sale.
And all the Jackbox party packs are grossly overpriced, as is. They should all 3 be selling as one bundle for the price of one of them.
You cannot put a price on the kind of fun that you'll have.
Hey, we had my family Thanksgiving. We had plenty of fun with actually ARMS. ARMS
And 1-2
again.
Switch.
ARMS, yeah, those were the 2 big hits at the family Thanksgiving, or ARMS and 1-2 Switch. Who would have thought? Right?
Well, those are the most gimmicky. That's what's interesting to people.
Yeah, that's exactly.
They don't have to live with those games day in, day out. Those are both fun for about the 10 minutes that they're going to spend with them in a family.
Or 2 or 3 hours,
Yeah,
as the case was.
yeah.
You know, I mean, people got, but for an evening. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Everyone has a great time with it for an evening. So if you're constantly having people over, like, you know, back in my old, you know, younger days when I lived at, you know, a beach apartment and it was just, you know, constant people in and out, it was that kind of thing would have been perfect. But yeah, like day in and day out, like I bought the thing for the same reason, like Punch Out. My buddy, who's a cop, like swore that that was like part of his daily workout was playing, you know, Wii Punch Out. It was good cardio. And I agreed. You know, if you get the Wii pad and you're jumping on it and doing the whole 9 yards, I did it for a while. And so ARMS I looked at as kind of the same thing. Oh, it's something that'll force me to get some more physical activity, whatever.
That was the scam of the Wii. It's like the shoes that you wear on your feet, and you somehow lose weight because you got like they try to trick people into thinking the Wii was exercise.
It was, man.
I guess it was more exercise than you were doing before, but it wasn't exercise.
And you know how I know? That was the first time I had a kidney stone, was right after getting the Wii.
You were just working up a sweat on the Wii because you hadn't moved in a year.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was a lazy couch potato like so many Americans, and this actually got me up off my ass and jumping around like an idiot to the point that I shook a stone loose out of my kidney and, you know, had to go to the hospital. It was miserable. But yeah, whenever I have a kidney stone, it's always, you know, immediately following a period of sudden increase in activity, and the Wii was one of those periods when I got the Wii. Totally. So I do look at this. It's the same kind of thing like Iwata and, you know, the Nintendo quality of life business. Like I look at it the same way. I get what Nintendo's going for, or were maybe still is going for with the physical motion stuff, right? And it all goes back to that's, you know, in the 80s, the news stories about how Nintendo was turning all of our children into these terrible couch potatoes,
which they countered with the power pad.
Yeah, which they counted with the power pad, and again, I think to this day was kind of part of the impetus behind the Wii, right? Was that mindset that, you know, video games are not a sedentary thing. Video games are something that can be physically active. And I still think that's what they're pushing to some degree or other with the Switch. And I buy into it to at least some degree or other.
With this new year bringing unique game experiences or whatever they said.
Will bring new, unique experiences. Yeah, we'll see.
We're going to see. I mean, I don't know. There's some goofy stuff. Even in like Zelda, some of those shrines where you're like turning the controller like literally upside down to do stuff.
See, people bitched and moaned about that, and certain people. Oh, it's wet.
I think it was fine because it was in heavy moderation.
It was, yeah, and it was very like you go into a shrine
Yeah.
and this shrine is a miniature golf course and you got to use motion controls to hit the ball, and that's part of the gimmick and part of the fun, and it's nothing. I mean, you know what I mean. None of them
Yeah.
were. I don't feel that any of them were too invasive or whatever. Some people gripe about it. I thought it was sparingly used, and there was never a shrine that I thought, oh, this is stupid. There were one or two that the motion controls were kind of awkward.
Oh, I can think of a stupid shrine.
But there were, well, at least that the motion controls were stupid.
Oh, right. Yeah, none of the motion control
no,
ones I had a problem with. Yeah.
There were a couple stupid shrines, and then there was
In fact,
one.
I can think of two of them that are almost identical.
There were one or two. There were a couple where you could get locked in if you could lock yourself in a room with no way to get out if you carried the box the wrong way and did things in just the wrong order. You could lock yourself in a room and not get out. There was one shrine like that. And then there was another shrine where I watched a video of how you were supposed to do it online, and I was able to completely bypass like a huge portion of it. I don't think it was intentionally supposed to be that way, but so it wasn't without its flaws.
I remember month one, there were some interesting YouTube videos going up of people shortcutting certain shrines, like where they can not necessarily glitch, but kind of, where they would jump up in the air and then
accident
drop a bomb and they'd fly over a wall that they weren't supposed to be able to get over yet.
That was the one where I was able to bypass. I found some weird trick where if I threw a bomb in just the right place and jumped at just the right spot, I could get over this whole section and not have to go through this whole weird hassle. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's part of the emergent gameplay stuff, and that's part of what makes it fun. So maybe it isn't a flaw after all, but getting locked in a room and not being able to get out was.
So now we're talking about Zelda. Oh.
Well, we might as well go ahead and talk about it, of course. One of the big stories from this last week is Breath of the Wild. Second batch of DLC finally hit the eShop for download.
Anyone know what these stupid Guardians do?
Guardian
Amiibo?
Champions.
Oh, champions. What do you mean what the champions do?
Champions, Guardians. Yeah, what do the Champion Amiibos do? Because when I was stuck at Best Buy, because buying a phone these days is like
Does
buying
Nintendo
a car.
know
You
yet?
sign all this paperwork. So I was stuck at Best Buy for 2 or 3 hours. Getting a new service contract for me and the wife and whatever. And I was sitting right next to the Nintendo aisle, and I saw them sitting there, and I'm like, oh, they got all 4 of them. They had Mifas, 2 Mifas, but both the boxes were kind of mauled. But
you were just gonna open them anyway. Oh.
Exactly, I'm gonna open them. I don't keep them in boxes. But yeah, no, I was just sitting there, but halfway through the whole phone paperwork thing while I was waiting for him, I'm like, you're gonna be doing that for a couple minutes? All right, I'll be back.
Did you pick them up?
I had to. I was sitting there staring at him for like an hour and a half, and it was just like, fine. Like you know what I mean? I decided, no, I'm not getting them. And then I walked by, the Mifa box is all mashed. I'm not getting it. And then all right. And then
you put in your will that when you die, you want somebody to melt down all your amiibos and just throw the wad of plastic in the coffin with
you. No. Make the coffin out of the amiibo.
There you go. Have the coffin be an amiibo, so if somebody visits or at least the headstone.
No, you know
touch
what?
your Joy-Con to your headstone and.
No, in all seriousness, I have enough Nintendo plastic that I've saved over the years that I could melt it all down and make a coffin out of it, like a full, thick.
Yeah, I rue the day when I look at my amiibo collection in disgust and go, "Why did I do this to myself?" Just throw it all in a garbage. No, I don't know what I think they were. Weren't they supposed to give you different outfits, maybe, or something? I don't know. I still don't. I don't feel like I have a good understanding.
Helmets? They gave you different helmets.
I thought maybe.
Yeah, they gave you, and they all looked like they went with the ancient set. Like they all look like a different helmet for the ancient set, but the helmet was like
ever
looked
really
like
paid
the head of
attention
the
or if they
beast.
said. If they had known at the time when they put the Amiibo out, they would have had that on the box as to what it did.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think they knew at that time.
Yeah.
That was another one of those great Nintendo marketing things that they put out the Amiibo before they put out the DLC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which, I mean,
Yeah, helmets.
When the first rounds of Amiibo came out, did they have integration with Smash yet, or did that patch
it was because they came out the same day as Smash, didn't they? Or was Smash out already?
I thought they came out late. I don't remember now.
I don't remember if they came out the same. I'm trying to remember when I bought. If I already had Smash, I guess maybe I did.
I just know they announced them long after I decided that little NFC thing on the Wii U pad
was never going to get used.
Yeah.
Yeah. It felt like that for a long time. And then when they showed them at that Direct, it was just that, or the E3, it was like, they never really said what it did.
Because they
it's like, we've got Amiibo, these are figures, they're going to do something in Smash.
They're going to do stuff in games, yeah.
People were like, this is awesome! And then like a week or a couple days later, once that wore off, they were like, wait, what do they do? And Nintendo's like, more to come.
You can play with them in Smash. Yeah. Okay. What does that mean exactly?
Trust us. Yeah. I blew through this DLC. which I'm not mad about. I probably got a good 7 or 8 hours out of it.
Is that worth $10? I mean, like, that's less than a movie ticket.
Yeah. Well, wasn't the whole DLC 20?
Yeah, but
this is
right.
Half
this
of
is
the
second piece.
The first half was not worth $10.
No. You didn't finish the Master.
I never did finish the Master Trial. I got through the first Master of the Sword Master Trial thing, whatever. I got to the very last level of the second one and didn't realize it was the last level and died on the last level because I was saving my food because I didn't want to eat it because I was like, I don't know how many more of these there are. And then I was like, oh, I should have eaten that food. And then after that, I was so pissed off about the fact that I died on the last one, and I don't know if they go like 20 rounds or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't be motivated to do it again. Yeah, no, I don't.
But I did hunt down the little outfits and stuff that they had, in the first one that I never was going to wear.
I don't want to repeat the same tasks anymore. Like, I'm over that in video games. Like,
yeah.
I went back to the last couple levels of Snake Pass. I'm at 90%. There are 2 levels left in the game. And it just seems like one of the ways they increase the difficulty is make the save points fewer and further between. So it's like, oh, well, now instead of having to repeat 2 or 3 minutes of frustration over and over again before I get through it, now I'm going to have to repeat the last 5 or 10 minutes over and over.
Yeah.
No thanks.
I hate that.
No thanks. I'm done. Like, it was just so stupid. There's like this little, I was just on the area I was in, it's like you get over this big whole complicated section and then you get to like a little rest point. And it's like there's this little spot here and there could be a little save pad, but no, there's not. They want to make you go through this whole other additional, even more complicated section. And so, yeah, so I died after 10 minutes of agony getting through this thing, and it was just like, I'm just going to go back and play Splatoon again. I don't feel like playing this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm at 90%.
See, a nice thing about some games,
like any more Snake Pass.
Like with Zelda, it seems like anytime you die, it's just like, here you are. You're right back in the same place you were.
You don't lose much. You don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, and sure, you can give me a penalty, like in Mario, you lose some coins or whatever, right? Which they could give me a bigger penalty. That's fine. Give me a penalty when I die. Just don't make me do the same stupid shit.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. Jason and I had talked about when we were talking about Odyssey. Like, for the most part, Odyssey was okay with that, but there was a particular point in that game where if you died, you had to go back kind of a little bit ridiculously far. It wasn't as much far as it just was like a pain in the ass to get through that section.
Yep.
You're just like, God, I have to do this whole thing over again.
Yeah, that's never. I mean, and you got to have a balance. I mean, I know you can't give everything away to the player, but there are certain things that are just an unnecessary frustration. I mean, I get repeating something to get better at it, and there are certain things like that that are satisfying that way, right? There are certain things in Mario that you'll
Back in the
die a bunch of
NES
times.
days,
Yeah, well, back in the
you
NES
repeat the
days,
whole
right?
level. Yeah.
There were certain things that were satisfying to die over and over and finally get. And then there's certain things that were just cheap. Oh, I got lucky that time and didn't die. Now I can move on. Right?
Yeah. Well, that experience
And
has almost been cheapened now. It's not the same. Video games are different now.
that's true.
And
And
it's like
people's
they've
expectations are
changed in
different.
a way. Yeah, they've changed in a way that I don't think they could go back
Nope.
really without people just being like, "Oh, this piece of crap game. I'm just not going to play it anymore."
Well, I think the retro remakes make a good are a good example where they take some of that old difficulty and that old style. Like Super Meat Boy is popular for being
Yeah.
difficult. And they
And
take
100
some of that,
or 1001 spikes or whatever.
but it's got to be well polished. It's got to feel smooth. It's got to have really good controls. It's got to feel, you know what I mean? It's got
It
to
can't
have all
feel cheap.
these.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to have all these modern, kind of flourishes to it, or it's, But I don't think things have changed that much. I just think there's always that hardcore gaming population that likes difficulty,
Yeah, I'm
that likes
convinced
a
there's like
challenge,
a
right?
masochistic group of people out there that just love being punished by games just
Yeah,
because they keep like there was a and it still kind of is like that. Like there's a ton of indie games that are just as hard as can be.
yeah.
And I'm just like, and people are like, "Oh, this is a great game," and I'll play it, and I'll be like, "Are you guys serious? Like, this sucks. I can't get past like the 5th level."
Yeah, no, it's this whole genre on Steam is these, very difficult games. Most of them are side scrollers. Seems like. But I mean, there's old varieties, but a lot of them just harken back to that old school NES hard as hell. Which and the other thing is part of the reason they were hard as hell is again they were coming from a mindset of they were trying to weasel quarters out of you, right?
Yeah,
So you wanted to get further, you wanted to get better, and you're paying a quarter a try. Whereas once they started figuring out, like Zelda to me is the first, and maybe there were others, but it's the first really big one that dropped that mindset entirely. And hey, you're just on an adventure now, and
right. Yeah,
there's no game over per se. There's no you have save points, you have whatever, and it's just that was to me the
yeah.
first real. And again, there were others
Once
probably, but that
games
was the
started
first
having save
real
points, yeah,
console
that's
game.
pretty much the end of that.
That's when consoles. That's you know what I mean. That's when consoles took over and the styles of games changed. Um, it's
For the best.
arcades were an era and they're over. Kind of like movie theaters. People still go to the theater, but movies are really made for your 4K TV or whatever these days,
Yeah,
as much as for theater audiences, because that's where the real market is.
that in China. But yeah, I was all right. So I'll say this about the Zelda DLC. At the very they made the mistake of starting it wrong because it starts out with one hit kills. You can technically kill anything with one hit, but the cost of that is that you've got like half a heart, so you get one hit killed by anything. So they have like 4 sections that you have to conquer to move on.
Talking about
That
having to repeat stuff over and
Yeah,
over.
that are
Yeah.
all one hit kills, and it's like I was almost ready to rage quit and just not go back. I was like, I can't believe I waited all this time for this DLC to come out, and this is horrible. Because that's kind of what I didn't like about the Master Trial thing. Like it just felt like it was overly difficult and long, and it's like I paid for this abuse. Like,
well, okay, and that was it's
you
the
know,
same thing. There's certain people like World of Warcraft. Part of what drew people in were these, long dungeon quests. But to me, like that was the part of the game I liked the least, was having to get sucked into like a 3-hour dungeon raid
right? Yeah.
where
Well,
and it's
to
all
some people,
co-op.
the length of something is the value of something. We've talked
Yeah,
about that.
and to me, like that being stuck somewhere, like right now, I haven't reopened Breath of the Wild since picking up that one-hit sword because it's like, great. I don't want to do this. I want something more casual. I don't want to deal with like those videos you posted, Mo, where you're running around, you're killing everything in front of you, and then like a swarm of bats comes out of nowhere and one of them touches you
Yeah.
and you die.
That was
Like
just one of those moments that I was just like, I kind of played it a few times, and then I was like, okay, I think I got a strategy. And I, I fly over, I climb up the top of this thing because like there's a guy with a bow and arrow that had been just nailing me every time. So I was like, all right, I got to find a way to take out this archer first. And then I get up there, I hit him, and then a swarm of those bats come after me and kill me. So here's here's the trick for Zelda the DLC. When you're at the one hit kill section, my pro tip strategy: load up on bomb arrows and just bomb arrow everything to hell. Because I was thinking about like, how am I getting through this with this stupid weapon? And then I was like, oh, don't use the stupid weapon.
yeah, I was just about to say
Because you
maybe
still
that
got your
you're totally
bow.
right.
Yeah.
Just stay ranged and
So I just ranged bomb arrow. I mean, I went through a
what about
few
throwing it? Did you
bows.
ever try throwing it at people?
No, I don't know if you can. I think it's like the Master Sword where it can't leave your.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the enemies are too good, and there's archers and stuff. When it's one hit kills, like even a moblin throwing a rock at you, or one of those Lizalfals spitting water at you, that kills you. So you can't
Yeah.
afford that shit. You got to go after them. You got to hit them fast and hard.
Bomb arrows,
but
man.
but after that, the game is actually like enjoyable. The DLC is after that. They actually show in the trailer the scene where you finally beat that first section, and the obliterator splits into the four spirits, and then it just becomes Breath of the Wild again with just more stuff to do in it. Um, it adds like a couple more shrines and stuff like that, but it was cool after that, and I'm glad that I actually stuck with it and got through it. But man, that is like a kick in the nuts to just be like, all right, DLC's out. It's like, and I'm dead.
And all this, and here's the other thing about it is I imagine there's a lot of people that just like me, I didn't bother with the master trials on the first one. I just went and
Yeah,
got the free goodies around the world, and then it was like, ugh, I just don't want to deal with this. Whatever.
I
My
checked them
master
out, but
sword's
yeah,
good
it's
enough.
like it's not an enjoyable to me. That's not the master trial stuff's not an enjoyable experience. Like,
Well, here's the other thing: is if you have to go do this one hit kill BS to unlock all this extra content, I'm never gonna unlock it. Like, you know what I mean? I played through. I got every
yeah,
shrine. I got everything in the original game. I
right.
would love to go play through some more shrines and go play through the rest of this content, but not if the barrier is I have to put up with a few hours of frustration first that I don't want to deal with.
Yeah. Well, that was the worst part. Is like, so after you clear each of these one hit sections, the reward for them is a new shrine. So you clear out this area, and then there's a shrine. The problem is you're still in one hit mode, so the shrines are all death traps that are like where you have to avoid getting hit by anything.
Of
So you
course.
complete the 4 areas, you complete the 4 shrines, and then one hit time is over. And then there's 4 champions, and there's 3 new shrines for each of those champions to complete, and then an extra divine beast. Um, and then once you're done with all that, you get the Sweet Master Cycle Zero, which I still think it's weird and very Nintendo to be like, here's probably the most useful thing, even if you can call it useful. Just a faster way to get around Hyrule. We're going to give it to you after you've already done everything.
Well, the other thing is here's something to make a horse an actual useful component in the game, whereas it never was before when you couldn't summon it on command. To me, at least. I don't know about you guys. I pretty much played that game without a horse ever. Aside from
I did too.
Just for novelty, every once in a while, I'd take one out and just kind of ride it around, but never for any gaming purpose. Like, it was useless and just an unnecessary hassle and hindrance to
Although
bring it along.
one thing that's nice about the Master Cycle is, unlike a living being like a horse, you don't have to worry about the Master Cycle dying, and you don't have to worry that you left your horse somewhere and didn't bring it back to the stable or something like that. Like, you just, and they fixed that too, because there's also now an ancient bridle and saddle for the horse. Yeah, so
they finally fixed that in the second DLC.
At the same time
pack.
that they give me a motorcycle, which means I'm never going to use a horse again.
Yeah, and also basically when the game's done and you don't have any use for a horse anymore. At the same, you know what I mean?
But it got me back in,
and
I actually ended up wrapping up a few other loose ends in Zelda that I hadn't, and went back and finished. I think all of the side quests.
Yeah.
I think I finished all the side quests. Maybe I think it says I've got like 88 or 89 out of 91 or 88 out of 91. And I don't know if the only ones left are actually associated with the Master Trials one, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I thought it was cool. It was fun. There's a nice little surprise boss at the end that I won't bring up. But yeah, it was good times, I think. They certainly announced it in amazing fashion, which makes me now wonder, I don't know if it's Wednesday of this week, which will be the day after or the day before this podcast gets released, that we talked about Nintendo of Japan was going to do like a direct or an announcement about Legend of Zelda. And now I'm like, well, what the hell do they have to announce now? Unless they figured out what those Champion Amiibo were going to do.
Helmets, man.
That's China. I know.
Which is lame, mind you.
Maybe that was all a misdirect. Maybe they were just trying to make you think like, oh, you're gonna have to keep waiting for this DLC, and then they're like, aha, I got you. DLC's out.
Nintendo misdirect.
Yeah.
I like that sound. Misdirect.
Nintendo misdirect.
You mentioned how it was announced. We might as well go ahead and talk about how it was announced.
Yeah.
So, Game of the Year.
Oscars.
Yeah, the Oscars for video games. So,
who all here watched the game? I guess Z and Max and we kind of had a little.
We were chat
room
while we were watching. Yeah,
watching it.
I watched the chat room. I wasn't watching it.
It wasn't the worst thing I ever saw, and I think that I've heard that from multiple sources too. That I don't really religiously watch the Game Awards, but I've heard everyone say, they were just a little bit less bad this year than they were in previous years.
The only reason was that they had an actual audience. Every previous one that I've seen and the one that I went to, they had like paid people up front that were that looked like they were in the pit at a concert, right? They had just a bunch of people that were like,
I feel like award shows do that though.
Well, this one though, right? They
look at the video
actually
music
would
awards
turn
from
the
back in the
camera
day
on the crowd, and they never could do that before because there wasn't enough people in the crowd, and they weren't like actual industry people. You know what I mean? It was like there were some people backstage, and there was a handful of people there, and they got Kiefer Sutherland to show up last year, or a couple years ago.
You know what they probably
Shaq
did? They probably just every single company probably gave away tickets. I know Nintendo was giving away tickets. So
yeah, but I mean, it just seems like for some reason a bunch of people showed up this year that hadn't in the past. So I don't know what has changed.
Video games, man, They're mainstream now.
Maybe Nintendo was forking over some bucks to make it feel like a bigger event because they knew they were just owning it this year.
Like, well, they definitely. I don't know like how that stuff works with the corporate sponsorship and the one hand washes the other kind of stuff. But yeah, I feel like it's basically the whole thing is a big advertisement that's
Oh, it is. It's a big industry.
slightly
Well, so
veiled.
is that's every
Yeah.
awards show, though.
Right,
Ultimately,
right.
that's the Oscars and that's everything else. But at the end of the day, the industry people that are going to put out these awards have to put out things that people will accept. Like, right, if they announce Game of the Year was, Battlefront 2, people would be like, you know what I mean? They would. The
Well, yeah, they're not
awards
going
would
to watch
lose.
next year.
They would lose all legitimacy. Exactly. So I think, I don't think there was anybody that was offended or honestly like, right? Everyone, I think everybody knew what Game of the Year was going to be going in.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we
Spoilers.
as we as Nintendo fans knew what Game of the Year was going in, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
think everybody knew. That's
just
the
about
thing.
everybody knew what Game of the Year
Breath
was.
of the Wild won Game of the Year, which was on everybody's list as a Game of the Year. And it's like it is nice that it's almost uncontested this year. Like I'm sure there were some other great games and stuff, but anyone, no matter who they are or what systems they're a fan of, like nobody can really bitch about Breath of the Wild winning because it was so clearly, it's that special game that's probably doesn't even come out every year.
Yeah, it's once in a console generation game, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe even rarer than that. But yeah, it was.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot of people of Zelda fans saying it's their favorite Zelda.
Yeah, me too. I would agree. To me, it is a perfect culmination of everything from the first game and everything from Ocarina of Time, just kind of rolled into a modern game. Like, to me, as an old time, long time Nintendo fan and gamer, it just fits the Zelda mold to me better than any game since the old ones. I've not been, and even Ocarina of Time, I got bored halfway through. Everything since that game, I've gotten bored halfway through. And this was, to me, a return to original form in a way that none of those other ones quite captured. With
Yeah.
obvious plenty of references to Ocarina of Time. I know it's very well respected. It's one of those things, right? Like certain music, I respect it and I recognize it as quality stuff, but I don't necessarily like to listen to it myself.
Right. I think we've all heard that, like, oh, those musicians are really good. I don't really like this music.
Yeah, no, and that's how I felt about Ocarina of Time. Is I look at it and I can see what it is. I can see it for what it is, as kind of a first in of its kind of adventure game, and the way Nintendo did it with their own little secret sauce. And just because, right, when the Nintendo 64 came out, I looked at this and said, oh, PCs can do better 3D than that. They've been able to do better stuff than that for years. But right, it's the Nintendo secret sauce. For some reason, they just made Mario 64 click in a way that no 3D game on the PC had,
Yeah.
even Doom. And same thing with Ocarina of Time. I can see why people love it. To me, it was too much walking around and too much of that. I don't know. I'm just not into RPGs, and it was a little too RPG for me.
And yet Breath of the
Not
Wild is
actiony
nothing but
enough.
walking around. You had no
But it's
problem
different.
with that.
No, but you know what? Breath of the Wild, it's wander around and kill stuff and find stuff and explore stuff. Whereas, right,
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time, there was no world to explore. There was the item you went to get, and that was the only item there was to get. Was that item you were supposed to get and then take across the world to give to this person,
Yeah.
so that they can make you go back across the world to give another item. You know what I mean? It was a very
The
linear, cut and dried kind of thing, and they
The
open the
interesting
world.
trick with Breath of the Wild is it's so huge, and you heard so many people say like there's nothing. It's a big world with nothing in it, and yet everywhere you go, there's something.
Yeah.
Like, how many times, like, I used to say you would get distracted by your distraction. Like, you'd be like, okay, I saw a shrine over here, so I'm going to go to that shrine. And you're like, oh, what's this over here? I'm going to go to this. And then you go to that. And you're like, oh, wait, what's that thing over there? That looks like it's something. And then you're like, what the hell was I doing?
Yeah, and then there's a rock
Like,
and
oh,
a
the shrine.
Korok, and then
Yeah.
there's totally. And then you go look on your map, and you're like, yeah, I'm nowhere near that shrine anymore because I've been wandering off for the last half hour, and now I'm, like 5 miles away in real world distance from
Right.
that place.
You could
No,
play for
totally.
hours and not really accomplish any goals in the game. You're
Yeah.
just wandering
Wandering,
around.
finding stuff, and
almost anything you thought like to do in the game turns out to be something that they wanted you to do. Like,
yeah.
you'd be like, oh, let's see if I can do this. You're like, oh, they thought of that.
Oh, I can, and I get something if I do it over here. Yeah.
So it's like, I guess I think one of the categories that it had been up, or maybe it won, was it Best Direction? It was either
Yep.
nominated for or won that, and I was just like, well, that's kind of weird because there really isn't any direction in the game because it's like open world. But then I guess the direction is that they make you do what they want you to do with you not you feeling like it was your choice. Like,
That's that exactly, and that
you
was
know,
what made the original Zelda right. There was an optimum order, definitely, to do the dungeons in, but you didn't have to. But if you just kind of wandered through the game kind of the way they wanted you to, you'd kind of happen on them in that order anyway. And the original Zelda also really was kind of a barren world. There's a few monsters here and there, but
yeah,
like there weren't many people to talk to. There weren't, and there's something to that, right? Like with Metroid, that loneliness feeling. They wanted that to be part of it, and so looking back on the lack of characters and whatever, okay, no, I kind of buy it. I kind of buy into them doing that on purpose. The towns are populated enough, right?
yeah.
But
I'm
the
also
world
glad you didn't
itself
have to
isn't.
bomb walls and bushes at random to find like a hole in the ground.
That's true. No, instead we found Koroks.
Yeah.
I found some rocks and found a treasure chest.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like they were pretty visible once you spotted the first one.
Any of the bombable walls basically were like, hey, I am a bombable wall. Like it had like the stack of rocks over it.
Yeah, it was like an outline
wall.
of
Yeah.
of a doorway. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was nice.
Kind of
Like I
like
said, I guess my overall thing, like the one statement I can make about it definitely being game of the year is for a person who's never really completed a Zelda game, never really liked a Zelda game. I played Breath of the Wild and I absolutely loved it. And I mean that right there. Yeah.
fourth Zelda game I've ever completed and I've tried. I've started pretty much all of them.
Yeah, me too.
The first two, and then for some reason, A Link Between Worlds I just burned through, but that one was super easy. But it was fun. The little top-down 3DS one.
Yep.
I feel like it really is a game that would appeal to anybody that plays
Breath of the
games.
Wild.
Yeah.
No, it's Nintendo said, "Hey, open world games are a thing. They've been a thing for like 10 years now. Maybe we should get in on this." And then they just took it and OCD obsessed over it for years. And then,
it took forever.
The Wii U sucks. We can't just release it on the Wii U. We should delay it another year and a half until the next console's out. So you guys can spend that time.
And that's the Nintendo difference.
Yeah, and then you guys can spend that time.
Other companies delay something.
Details of it.
Yeah, other companies delay something over and over and over, and then you end up getting like a broken piece of crap. And you're like, I can't believe I waited 5 years for this.
Every other company, a lot of delays is usually
it usually means trouble.
Something's bad. And Nintendo, a lot of delays usually really does mean that you're going to get something fabulous at the end of it.
Yeah. That's still to their credit. They have never, to my knowledge, put out a completely crap broken game.
Animal Crossing
Uh-oh.
Amiibo Festival.
It's not broken though.
It's not broken. It's just not fun.
It's
Unless
just
you're Eric.
shit. Yeah,
Rare.
it's just terrible. I would consider broken a game that I would consider that game broken. I would consider that game not broken. I would consider that game unfinished.
I was going to say, what is there to be broken? There's nothing to it. It's a
Yeah.
There's
board
nothing
game.
to break.
It's a game.
Yeah, it's
God, you know what?
like there's more to Pocket Camp than there was to that by like a lot.
I don't know what just made me think of this, but I guess because we're talking about broken games. As I'm playing through the Zelda DLC, and maybe it's because I had been playing for like 6 hours that day, I get to a point and I think, oh no, I've just trapped myself in this room and I have no way to get out. And I'm like, I think I had done the thing that I was supposed to do, but now I'm trapped. And I had like completely forgotten about the Cryonosis rune. And I probably spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out like, how the hell am I going to get out of here? I'm like, oh, there's water. I could have just frozen it the whole time and stood on it and jumped over the wall, which I eventually figured out. But it took me like 20 minutes to to realize that. I'm like, wow, I thought I was so smart for solving this little shrine thing.
In the IT world, when you've been working on a server for like, 4 or 5 hours, they tell you, you need to take a break because you start doing shit like that.
Well, I always trust Nintendo. That happens a billion times in any Metroid game too, where you're like, oh crap, now I'm stuck and I must have done something wrong because I can't figure a way out. And then you're like, oh, here's the way out. And in other games, you don't always have that confidence.
But no, I agree. I've had this conversation
Yeah.
with other Nintendo fans. Yes, and the same thing with Breath of the Wild. Every shrine makes Nintendo sense, right? I never, for example, when I would go into a shrine, I knew because it's Nintendo, I never had to look behind where like the guy at the end. Nintendo just wouldn't put anything behind the dude at the end. Once you get to the dude at the end, you're done. They're not going to leave something that you just might miss. They don't do that. They always
or very rarely.
something. Yeah, very rarely. They either have something hidden in a nifty little place that makes you think, "Ha, what's that over in that corner?" Or they you know what I mean? There's never that just cheap, or very, 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 very rarely that kind of cheap little, oh, you missed this, ha.
Usually like in the shrines especially, there'd always be a treasure chest that you could see and you'd just be like, well, how the hell am I
more
supposed to
often
get
than
that?
not. Exactly. It's usually about you can see it and then you got to figure out how to get there. It's never about, or it's rarely about just, are you going to see it or not? It's always about, there's a trick to get something.
Yeah.
You got to figure out what it is.
Oh, another tip for the DLC, if anybody does the DLC, which I did not even think about because I was so into just playing it. There's new enemies and stuff that you encounter. Take a picture for your compendium. Because I got through. Oh, now there's gaps in my. Because I actually completed the entire compendium on my first playthrough, and then I was like, oh, but luckily you can redo every part of the DLC. So you can go back and get all those pictures if you did miss them. But it was just easier if I had just gotten them the first time. If you remember doing the compendium photos.
Of course.
Yeah, if you care.
Hey,
which I don't.
Things worth doing. It's worth doing right.
You might be the only person who actually completed the compendium in the entire
No. I cheated it because you can buy photos from one of the guys, and I had so much money from the snow bowling. I was just like, I'm going to buy the compendium.
So, besides Breath of the Wild winning Game of the Year, was there anything else that was interesting that won?
Well, Metroid won handheld.
Yeah,
Reggie announced a new title that none of us are necessarily particularly hyped for.
I forget what it is.
3.
Oh,
Bayonetta
yeah.
3 and also Bayonetta 1 and 2 are coming to Switch. So that's maybe our first port of 2018, unless they announce during the Direct that Tropical Freeze is available right now.
Is anyone a fan of the Bayonetta games?
They were all right.
I
I thought
enjoyed
they were
it.
pretty cool. Yeah,
They
I
have
had
a
good
lot
time
of
with.
fans.
Yeah,
It's good. That's one of those games that you feel like it's deserved. That that's the cool thing about having the Wii U being a failure is that they get to introduce some of these games that people worked hard on and people agree that reviewed it and did play it that it was a good game and should have had a larger audience but just didn't. That now they
and I
can get
remember
a second chance.
I remember a lot of buzz on Bayo and people being unhappy that it was a Wii U exclusive because it had been an Xbox exclusive prior.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's only coming out on the console that nobody has. That sucks."
But if I remember, when Platinum was going to develop Bayonetta 2, they went to these studios and said, "Hey, who wants to help us make this game and basically help us pay for this game?" And nobody wanted to help. And Nintendo said, "Oh, we'll help you."
Yeah, it was the Chicken Little story.
Right.
I wonder
So,
if the
3 new
Bayonetta
games, I
Amiibo
guess,
will
from
be
Reggie.
usable with it. That'd be kind
I
of
would think so. I wonder if it's actually compatible with the Bayonetta 2 already. If they've
That's a
done
good.
any updates.
I doubt it on Wii U, but it would be idiotic for them not to include Bayo Amiibo integration in.
Although that's probably hard to find
Switch
even now.
Yeah,
they can hype it up.
Fair enough. That's true.
That's all the more reason to reprint them and.
I mean, at this point, she's almost a Nintendo character. At this point, she's been in Smash.
That's right.
And she's had an amiibo.
I guess I feel she's more of a Nintendo character than Cloud is from Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'd say Nintendo put in their time, and yeah, she now falls. She's like a rare character, like a Donkey Kong. She's like Diddy Kong or something, where she's technically not a Nintendo character, but close enough.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. The Game Awards was just a lot of ads. Just watching a lot of ads and being like, "Oh, okay." There's the funny French dude who was on for way too long. That I'm sure there's plenty of clips about. Who was kind of entertaining to watch, but there wasn't a ton of Nintendo stuff. There was a ton of Nintendo commercials for Rocket League.
Yeah, that was funny.
There was some other
just
stuff.
The same one over and over again.
But they brought out. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say there was something that wasn't so great for Switch owners, as we were excluded from a sale.
Yeah, that pissed me off. Bethesda did this whole little jokey campaign, Save Player One, which I guess it's not a joke. They had a big sale this previous weekend where they were putting all their single player games on sale for 50% off, and they were donating some of the proceeds to charity. Good, but they were only on sale on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC.
Yeah.
And not Nintendo, which part of me understands. Like, they just put these games out.
Yeah.
Old. But also, the other part of me said, yes, but these are also $60 games on Nintendo when they're far cheaper on every other system. Elder Scrolls is 6, 7, whatever years old now. Doom is a year old. It wouldn't have killed them. If you want to be part of this Nintendo family now and play on the Nintendo system and you'll take our money, why not just include us for 1 weekend, 2 days, and let us get in on some of that fun and make a few more Bethesda fans rather than to just completely exclude. But
yeah, especially when there's only 10 million Switches out there.
Yeah, it's like I understand their reasoning for it, just greed.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of disappointing to me that, and they don't say it. They say it's going on sale for every platform. They just don't say except except for Switch. Almost said Wii.
It's like we went back to the point to where Nintendo wasn't even acknowledged.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're going to drop the prices probably on Switch like they do on everything else, but
I
at
don't know,
some
man.
point. But
Nintendo might maintain this premium mindset.
possibly.
The same way Apple kind of does with their stuff, right? You always pay a premium for an Apple tablet or anything, an Apple anything over an Android
But
something.
software?
Nintendo.
And it's not Nintendo first party software we're talking about. So
Right. There have been things that have been more expensive historically on Mac versus PC. Things that are more expensive on iOS than they are on Android. It's not without precedent, but
Or maybe the physical version will stay one price and the digital version will be a different price.
And we saw some of this, too. We saw some of this on the Wii U, right? There were certain games that would come out on Wii U way late and cost more. And they were already $20 on other.
Well, yeah, I remember when what was it? Watch Dogs came out
that was
a year late, and it was already like $10 in the bins at Walmart.
And I think it had launched at if I was not mistaken, it launched at 50 on other consoles and was 60 on Wii U or something stupid. Something launched, and maybe it wasn't Watch Dogs. Something launched at a literal higher price on Wii U, which was just asinine.
Well, I think for a lot of those companies, they probably feel like they're doing us a favor by even putting the stuff out on the system.
Yeah, but if you want to make back as much of your investment as you can, you know what I mean? Like in Bethesda's case, would it have made financial sense for them to put this stuff on sale on Switch and actually make more money in the long run, selling more copies? Maybe. I don't know.
Well, yeah.
It also
If
would have
Doom
been
is,
a goodwill gesture to the growing Switch fan base. But
that's what I was looking for. It was more of a goodwill thing. But I've always said I always complain and bitch about Nintendo, like 5 times more of something if you charged a few bucks less for it. And overall, the amount of money you would make would be more. Like if Doom all of a sudden was $30, right? Yeah.
I mean, in Doom's case, I agree, but in the case of the Virtual Console, I totally get why they, in the Pokemon games for 3DS, I totally get why they're the price they are, even though theoretically anything else that old would be, part of a $1 bundle.
I don't know. I even think Mario 1, $5.
Are you talking about Super Mario or
Super Mario? Yeah, well, shit. Don't get me started on arcade classics for $8.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I almost wonder if that's going to be a thing when Virtual Console hits. If they'll be like, with inflation, a NES game isn't really $5 anymore. Now it's $8, and a Super NES game is $10.
Not when the Super, or the mini NES is $60 with 30 games on it or whatever. Right.
But you're getting a cool piece of hardware for that.
Yeah, but you're also getting, that's $2 a game in addition to your cool piece of hardware and whatever.
That's a limited edition gift to you from Nintendo.
Yeah, that nobody could buy, but is supposedly coming back out. But even then, the Super Nintendo, $80. Let's see, $80 for 20 games. Really, 21, 22 games, but that's $4 a game. That's half of what they sell them on the Virtual Console for. And again, you get a cute little.
I'm happy with this pricing structure. We're going to drop them to $2 and $4 for NES and Super NES Virtual Console.
Well, of course you are, because we've been paying these crazy prices.
Yep.
It won't happen that way, though.
No.
We know
but
that.
I'm sure there's plenty of people who would see a Super NES Classic on the shelf. Be like, $80 for that? These games are like 30 years old. Pass.
I don't know how many people are like that. I think that's I gotta imagine that's a pretty small minority right there.
I'm one of them.
Yet you
So-
paid $5 a piece or $8 a piece for those games on your 3DS and or Wii
Yeah, I
U,
know.
right?
I bought, like, I've triple dipped on so many. Like
Yeah.
Punch Out, I've got for Wii, and then I rebought the Wii U. I've got 3DS.
I don't count it triple dipping if you only paid like $1.50 for it, though.
For one of those.
Yeah.
Now that I've got that new 3DS,
I guess
it's really hard
never
for me to
mind. I
buy
still
Super
count
NES. It's hard for me to double dip on Super NES games on 3DS with no discount
Yeah.
for stuff that I bought for Wii U. So like I did finally buy Super Metroid just because I was like, I should probably have it on my Samus 3DS.
You know what? The fact that they didn't just give in and
Give
do
that to you.
crossplay in the
Yeah.
Wii era is
Yeah.
mind-boggling to me. When they were just desperate to get people to want. I mean, you know what I mean? That's how Sony tried to push the Vita or Vita or whatever the hell it is.
Velveeta.
The Velveeta. Right, that was how they would push it. When you buy a PS3 game, half the time you'd get, a digital copy for the Vita along with it, or Vita. I'm blanking. What do people call it?
I think it's called the Vita. PS Vita.
Yeah, whatever. It's stupid. Anyway,
It's
they would
almost
give
dead.
you, like on my PS3, I have a bunch of Vita games. I'll never get one, but it's tempting. It's crossed my mind. Like, hey, I'll have like a dozen plus games for this thing if I ever were to get one.
And you can play Netflix on it.
And it would seem like to me that would have been something Nintendo should have done for the 3DS. Like, buy it on the 3DS, we'll give you a Wii U copy. I think that might have pushed at least some people over the edge and thought, hey, I'm gonna, I bought
They did on a
20
few of
Virtual
those indie
Console
games.
on 3DS.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that was up to the indie developer itself, right? Again, I just if
I think
Nintendo had
maybe Mario
offered
Minis.
those on the Wii U, I think they would have sold more Wii U's. Period. Yeah, Mario Minis.
Yeah.
There are a couple others. That's right. They did do their own first party ones. I forgot.
Well, Sony was trying to manage two separate systems with one shared network, and Nintendo's now trying to make one network with one system that works as two systems. It's a handheld and a portable. That way, you don't have to worry about having two different systems. Like I feel the PlayStation, was two different systems where they were trying to manage a home system and a portable system, and then Nintendo was just like, well, we kind of like the idea of those two systems environment where there's games that you can take here and there, but we're just going to put them onto one system and have the system itself be two systems where it's portable and handheld.
Yep. Since we were already kind of getting into the topic of consoles and how much they're selling, and this week we found out that the Switch has some pretty impressive numbers coming out already pretty quickly for its lifespan. I think the first number I heard was 2.5 million units were sold in Japan, and then I guess just today or yesterday we heard that 10 million, as of December 10th, I guess is the date, have been sold. 10 million units, Switch units.
That's the lifetime sales of the TurboGrafx 16, apparently, according to one of the articles we were looking at.
Was that worldwide, I'm assuming?
I assume that is, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
gotta be.
So we know that 2 million of that is Japan.
And that's comparable to the Wii's sell-through for its first, same period. But again, as everyone's fond of pointing out, the Wii's initial period included Christmas season, and this does not.
Yeah, right.
Or at least not all of it, only part of it.
And since we were talking about Wii U earlier, I should note that it took 2 years and 7 months for the Wii U to sell 10 million units. So
yeah,
definitely ahead of its predecessor.
Well, I think what did the Wii U end up at? Like 14 million total lifetime or something?
Yeah, it wasn't very.
So it's not going to be hard for the Switch to catch the Wii U.
Yeah, I think it's pretty well on track to do that before the first year is up, or be very close to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really heard anybody mention the Wii U ever, and I have heard people talk about the Switch. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, there weren't people coming. I didn't overhear people while I was shopping at Best Buy asking for it and being
No.
told they couldn't get it and getting offered suggestions of how to find
Yeah.
one.
No, but I've seen a few grandpa and grandmas digging through software in the stores. What game did he say he wanted? Mario Odyssey. That kind of stuff going through their list. So,
Oh yeah, there would in the aisle, right? The Nintendo
Yeah.
aisle at Best Buy. I would usually be the only person in the Nintendo aisle at Best
right.
Buy. Right? I'd be and it would be kind of a lonely place. And now there's always people hanging out in there.
There's always that fat kid playing the demo station.
Yeah, now there's right. Kids were
Does
always
he
playing
ever
the
have
Xbox
parents?
or the
Oh.
PlayStation demo. Nobody was even bothering with
Yeah.
the Nintendo demos. They had a Wii U and a 3DS that never got touched. And now
Yeah.
that's where everybody is gathered around the Switch.
Yeah, I have seen quite a few people kind of step up, look around side to side, and be like, "Oh, I'll just casually pick up this controller here."
Totally.
Yeah, there's buzz on the Switch that people want to.
Sure.
Although I still kind of feel like the Joy-Cons feel so cheap. Maybe they shouldn't have demoed it.
They're small and they're awkward, but they do the job.
And they're like
Yeah.
nothing
Buttons
else.
are too small. Yep.
Just the
It's-
fact that they click into the system makes it kind of have a sort of cool feature, like a cool factor to it that you're just like, oh, that's kind of neat. I kind of want one of these just because it's cool and it slides and makes a clicky noise.
There's no cell phone or tablet out there that does
Yeah.
the same thing.
It's true.
And I can play games on it. Bonus. So, yeah, I feel like it's neat. I did notice it at Best Buy the other day, so I was like, all right, I'll finally break down. I'll buy Odyssey. And I had noticed when I was at Target and Toys R Us that they were sold out of Mario Odyssey, which I was like, wow, I didn't think that was possible. So when I'm at Best Buy, I'm looking around, and it appears that they're sold out of Mario Odyssey. And then I remembered that there was a secret little mini stand on a completely other side of the store, which I don't know why the hell they put it there. But it's got a whole bunch of Nintendo game cases and the little game card cases, and like I've been seeing a lot of these Joy-Con skins popping up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if those are safe or not. I remember when it first launched, they were saying, do not put a skin on your Joy-Con, it'll mar the finish. So I'm assuming maybe these are safe now. But I wouldn't do that anyway. But they've got a little display that has those, and I remembered that it had a few copies of games, and I went over there and there were still 3 Odysseys left. So that's when I got some. But there was an older couple that was digging through every game, and I guarantee they were probably looking for Mario Odyssey, because what else would they dig through the Switch games looking for? And I did not tell them.
Oh, it's cruel.
I know.
mean.
Said, let their grandchildren cry. Oh.
Let their grandchildren grow up hating Nintendo as we
Yeah.
do.
New initiates.
I bet they'll restock it. I still think they're going to do restocks of stuff. I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast. I know we were talking a little bit before, but I saw 2 more Super NES Classic Minis at the Best Buy the other night, which they had sold out the last time I saw 2. So that means they had a restock of at least 2 more, which is more than we could ever say for the NES Classic. So I don't know. Maybe Nintendo's going to keep a constant supply of stock going on some of this stuff.
I think both Z and me both had the same experiences. Our Best Buys were sold out of Switches, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I forgot to look. It might have been out of Switches. I know that they've always got a few of the. I know I always see the Pokeball 2DS everywhere.
Yep.
I always see the new Super Mario Brothers 2DS.
Side item, I've never seen that Pokeball 2. Yes.
Oh, really?
Wow. Not around here.
They got a bunch of them here.
I don't think. Maybe I saw it Black Friday
But who
weekend. I'm
wants
pretty
it?
sure
I
I
mean,
didn't. I don't, but I just kind of wanted to see it.
do you
I
think
don't
there's
think I've
people who
seen it in the
buy it
box
and just
anywhere.
leave it in the box and put it on their shelf, like just the collector
Yep.
type?
This is the
Uh,
person that buys all the games.
Because you're not
I
gonna
did that with
transfer to a 2DS, right?
I did
You're not
that
gonna
with
transfer your system.
the Zelda, that gold
Yeah.
Zelda new 3DS. But I didn't intentionally do that. Like I bought it intending to transfer to it, and then it just never left the box.
Has it still never left the box?
It's still never left the box. No,
Wow.
Hmm.
That's some restraint right
I'm still
there.
using my Majora's Mask one there. Looks.
Max will give you $5 for it.
No, but right, the Majora's Mask one I've already modded. I put on the little PSP stick in place of the little
Oh
rubber
yeah,
nub,
right.
and so like now that's the cool one because I've altered it so that I
Yeah.
just feel compelled to stick with it. But maybe down the road, like my
Fun.
daughter or something, when she's old enough, hey, I got you a new toy, and she won't have any
It's
idea
20
that it's
years
not.
old. Oh.
Yeah, she won't have any idea that it's
Yeah.
old. It'll be
Yeah.
brand new out of the box.
Maybe.
You probably won't be able to find it.
Did you grab the? Did that come with a download code for Link Between Worlds?
It came with nothing. No.
I couldn't remember. I have seen it looks like the Zelda 2DS has been sold out pretty much everywhere that I saw.
Now, see that I've seen around here.
Oh, have you? See, I saw it when it first came out, but now it's been gone. I was like,
no, I've seen that in the case, but I haven't seen the Pokeball one.
Probably the decision on when to kill the 3DS depends on how well the 3DS and 2DS are selling this holiday season. But like I said, I think the $200 price point for 3DS really hurts it. But I feel like the $80 price point for just the regular old 2DS is killing it. So good.
Yeah. I don't know. When I go into the Nintendo area of my local Target or Best Buy, 3DSs is all I got. So I don't know.
Are you
I
saying
don't
they
know if
don't have the
that's
2DSs?
well, 3DSs and 2DSs. I just mean
Oh,
they don't
yeah.
have
Well, yeah,
Switches.
yeah. Well, I see
They don't
nothing but
have
2DS
classic minis.
XLs. The 2DS XLs are in stock for sure.
Yep. Yeah,
I
tons
think
of them.
those are gonna be rare collector's items someday, I think.
Well, I'll say I wish I'd have picked one of those up when I
It's
had
like
the chance.
it's like a weird, it almost feels like the awkward teenage years. It's like it feels like it's an awkward in between phase, but they stuck it in at the end somehow. Like it feels like it's just not right in the evolution from monkey to man. The 2DS XL is like,
It's a step down. Yeah, it's
yeah,
not. Yeah.
yeah. It's like and I don't know that, like with the Switch at $300. It's like, well, tell me what I'm getting for 150 or 170 or whatever. Like this is just a portable.
You're getting a kid's
Yeah.
portable console at this
Yeah.
point.
Sadly, the software sections are starting to shrink down quite a bit for 3DS too, which it has such a great library of software.
It does, but when you think about it, the games on the 3DS tend to be. I mean, you've talked about that Jaws game when that was a DS game, wasn't it?
No, it's 3DS.
That is 3DS. Okay, so
That
that
is in
one's
full 3D,
gory.
buddy.
Okay, so that one's
Yeah.
gory, but right, the
Yeah.
majority of the 3DS's library is pretty kid friendly.
I would imagine that there probably have not been more than 5 mature games, and some of them are like I think Binding of Isaac was on there, and that was rated mature. The Jaws game, I'm sure there's a few others, but not a ton. But it doesn't have to be mature to be awesome.
That's true.
I will look back on that system and be like, I spent a long time. Like that's that generation of 3DS especially, and Wii U is good too, but the 3DS might have the most hours of any system and just overall engagement of turning it on daily to do bull crap and
Definitely
Street
more than
Pass
Wii U.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean, I put it's a toss up. I put a hell of a lot of time into every Nintendo handheld that I've had for any length of time. I got the Game Boy Advance really late in its life cycle, right before the DS, so I didn't. That's the only generation I didn't put a ton of time into. But every other Nintendo handheld,
that was
the
my
hours.
previous probably favorite generation was that GameCube, that Game Boy Advance. So that's
Super Nintendo and
game.
GBA for some reason. I think I was just all sucked into the PC gaming world at that point.
The GBA was basically a Super Nintendo shrunk down.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean that was what it was pretty much.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it. I mean, right, all the games were ports of Super Nintendo games.
Yeah, there were a ton of them.
I think there's something really special about a portable console like that. You carry it with you. You have it in your pocket.
Yeah.
If you're going somewhere on a trip, it's easy just to stick it in a bag or something.
Right.
It becomes much more part of your life and is your daily life even than something.
The 3DS took over in a way that was different from I didn't carry my Game Boy with me everywhere all the time.
No.
And the 3DS told me to.
Yeah, they built stuff into it to do it, and it was a neat idea. I mean, they talked about it. Remember on the DS, they had a few specific games that had the Street Pass stuff built in, but
Nintendo.
The other person had to have that game in their. I mean, you know what I mean?
Thing loaded, yeah.
They had to have that game loaded. They had to have their DS in sleep mode in their pocket, and if you remember, the DS wouldn't last in sleep mode more than a day. So it just they kept trying, and they finally nailed it on the 3DS, but then now they just kind of dropped it. I still think carrying a Joy-Con around would work.
I think in their mind, they thought you were going to have the 3DS with you, and therefore you would take it out everywhere and play it, and people would be like, "Oh, look at all these people playing it. I got to get one too."
Well, and in reality,
I just kept it in my pocket the whole time.
Well, that too, but I think they also the logic was right. If you're living in an urban area where you're passing, like in Tokyo, right? I mean, even
any major city.
Yeah, any major city, exactly. They're just and having traveled to a few walk-in towns like San Francisco, New York, whatever. Yeah, you just get them. You just as a tourist wandering through the city, you just get dozens a day. But everywhere else in the world, in America and the more spread out world, it just doesn't work that way.
I think they're hoping that that's going to happen with Switch too. That people are going to, there was that article
the viral marketing thing
we saw with Koizumi about how well sharing the joy is really taken off. That they're seeing Switches all over the place in the public.
And you know what? I don't.
I don't either.
I read articles about people saying, "Oh, I'll take it to the bar with my buddies." Blah blah blah. This is the Switch use case. It works great. I mean, granted, I don't get out to bars as often as I used to, but I'm the only one breaking it out when I do. Yeah, maybe.
I don't think I've ever seen an actual Switch besides my own.
Other than your own?
Yeah.
Same here.
Or a demo station.
Shortly after launch. So go ahead, Jason.
I said you don't actually see the Switch at the demo station, just the Joy-Con.
That's true. Yeah. Although you might start seeing more after Christmas.
Well, you still,
There's apparently a lot of them being sold this year.
When I'm in a shopping area and there's a kid walks by playing a Nintendo Switch, you'll know it's a success.
Yeah. As he's bumping into everything.
Like when I would be traveling for work, I would see kids in the airport with a DS or a 3DS often enough. I don't get out as much as I used to, especially with a kid now, but
I feel like I noticed the regular DS a lot more even than the 3DS.
Agreed.
But I get
Same here.
I think then it sold better though, didn't it?
It did, and long after the 3DS was out, I would still see kids with a DS. Yeah, it sold.
I know my
way better than
nephews
3DS.
had at least two regular DSs each.
Yeah.
Well, we were all looking at him like, oh, is that a street pass? If you get that puzzle piece I need.
No,
Yeah.
just I'm
Got the
talking about
DS.
no, I mean a regular D, just a non 3DS.
Yeah,
They
that's
both
what I
have
was.
3DSs too, and they never use them.
Oh,
Like they don't use them. They don't play them. They don't carry them with them. They're just like, this is stupid. So they, for some reason, they didn't get into it.
you need to educate these children, Momo. They need
But
your
the
help.
regular 2DS they loved. And they said, now they want a Switch, but they had already asked for an Xbox first. So they're getting an Xbox. But
And they'll probably be upset because they probably got the old Xbox and not the new Xbox.
yeah, well, I don't know. I
Maybe
think
they
so. I
won't
think
know
they
the
got the
difference.
slim. I think it's
Yeah.
the slim one that they're getting. But there's still time. The Switch will make an excellent second console next year. My brother still won't let them play. Like I don't remember. I think the oldest one's maybe 16, and the other one's like 11. But he won't let them play anything unless it's rated E for everyone. So I don't know how much fun they're gonna have with an Xbox, and I don't know that he's gonna pay for online service or anything. So it's like
That's going to gather dust.
yeah, it's like with the Switch at least. Everything. Like I'm looking at out of all the games that I own on the Switch, physically,
Doom.
they're well, I don't own Doom yet. If I will, Bethesda, um, but they're all rated E for everyone. The ones that I currently own, anyway. And they're pretty good. I guess there's probably not a lot. There's not a ton mature out for Switch right now, even. Right.
Not really.
I said for some reason I never want to count Binding of Isaac as a mature, but I know it is.
Skyrim
There's
is.
that. Oh yeah. Oh, is it? Yeah, I guess there's beheadings and stuff.
Yeah.
I saw Max was posting clips of her setting people on fire the other day.
Yep, that's always fun.
So I feel like Skyrim is a side of Max I don't ever see. So I only see the Animal Crossing side. I don't see her slashing people's throats. I guess I see a splatting every now and then.
Before we jump into the dark side of Max here, let's bring it back to we were talking about holiday gifts. I think that's an excellent segue into our final topic, which is our holiday gift guide. What do we recommend to those that, if you don't have a Switch, first of all, go buy yourself a Switch. But what do we
Switch,
recommend?
you're not listening right now.
Yeah, probably not.
I can't believe I just listened to 2 hours about this system that I don't have.
So what do the players need to have under the tree this year? What is your recommendation?
eShop card.
That's always a good gift.
There's a ton of digital stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's way more to get off the eShop than there is to get in the store.
Yeah, fair enough. eShop cards are good. I 8-bit dough controllers, man. I gave somebody one of these already.
You're too nice.
If you want to spend that much on a gift.
Yeah, really, you must really like that, dude.
So what specifically would you recommend buying eShop cards for? What games should you be saying? Can you gift games on the Switch? That's what
I don't know
think so.
if you can gift them or not.
You haven't been able to since the Wii, I don't think.
You can on Wii U. I know I was gifted a Wii U game recently.
Whoa,
yeah,
I was unaware of that.
They get a download code, and they just give you the download code.
Oh, well, okay. That's true.
I don't know how it works because on Switch, when I buy stuff, even from their website, I don't know if there's an option to buy it as a gift.
I don't think there is.
No, I've never.
Thing always works. But yeah, what are your hot recommendations, Max? What am I going to do with this eShop cash?
Golf Story was good. The RPG.
Yeah.
Playing
I feel
golf.
like that one's starting to almost be forgotten about already, even though it did have a Game Award nomination.
Yeah.
It's really a shame. It seemed like a pretty new developer, and they've made a pretty great game.
Yeah, I mean, it did really well, and everybody that I know that played it really enjoyed it. Did you beat that one, Max?
No, of course not.
No.
I enjoyed what I played of it.
Yeah, I know Jason went through it and said obviously it got a lot of recognition. Hopefully that's one that doesn't end up getting forgotten about in this humongous shuffle of billions of games that seem to be coming out every week now.
Yeah.
So,
and then if you only got a few copies of Skyrim, you can always use an extra one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I recommend. I think the Pro Controller might be my pick. That I have loved having a regular controller, and I've used it for everything. It's great. It's wonderful. And then everyone knows Breath of the Wild. Everyone's gonna buy Breath of the Wild.
you almost feel like
awesome. Shovel Knight's awesome.
you almost feel like Breath of the Wild should come with a Switch.
Yeah.
Like if you buy a Switch, there should be a copy of Breath of the Wild on the other hand.
Well, now I'm wondering if they're going to do a Game of the Year edition. Companies will be like, it's Game of the Year. Maybe they'll give away a sweet metal case when you buy a copy.
Maybe.
Or
that
a Master Sword
reuse.
replica. Yeah. How about you, Jace?
Yeah.
I think my pick too would be Golf Story. It's definitely it was a good time, unique experience, and also would recommend SteamWorld Dig 2. If it's your kind of game, if it looks good to you, pick it up.
Yeah, and I think I heard SteamWorld's coming to Switch as well. SteamWorld 1, I believe.
Might be.
Which makes sense.
And
Sorry.
I'm going to recommend a really wild game here. If you don't own it, you owe it to yourself to pick up Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
as you told Max, the only game that you need.
Yeah, that's really it. If you can only have one game this Christmas, it needs to be Splatoon 2.
It is nice that it has, just like how I feel with Rocket League, like it's endless playability because it's a little bit different every time you play it.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of the same, the scenarios are different enough every time, and that's what kind of keeps it fresh.
And they're updating the content.
Yeah.
Pretty regularly. We gotta
like the Clam Blitz.
That's right. We all had to delay the podcast a slight bit just because we wanted to play some Clan Blitz.
Yeah.
We record on Tuesday night, so it just went live.
Yeah. It literally came out like an hour before we started recording. We played a few games and then came in, so we don't really have any in-depth analysis yet, I don't think. But
look forward to that next week.
Like any new mode, it's just right now confusion, kind of.
Very much so.
It's like I think I understand it, but I haven't quite grasped how to develop strategies in it just yet from my 2 games. But it's always good to have a steady flow of games. You know, it feels like somehow Nintendo has pulled off what other developers don't. Like some people put out a game and it feels like it gets launched as an incomplete game that they slowly release the rest of the game as like, you know, as DLC or as bonus stuff. Whereas Nintendo feels like they kind of release a complete game and then continue. Although like with Splatoon 1, it wasn't that way. Remember with Splatoon 1, it kind of felt like you got a shell of a game. And it was just like however many stages, like it just was like always the same stages over and over. And then finally they started pumping out more and more and more and more. This one felt a lot more complete from the get-go, and they keep adding to it. So
true.
It's nice to have an entirely new ranked mode. Like
it really
6
is.
months after the game comes out.
I really didn't think that was going to happen. I thought it would be pretty quick after the launch. Would be seeing a new rank mode, but
so maybe there's more modes coming to ARMS that are going to revolutionize it.
And we did have one more recommendation from a member who is not here tonight, and as I will quote him as saying, our good friend Eric, the Arcade Bunny, says, "Buy Uno. It's only $10, and it's actually fun when you play online."
Yeah, we got into some online last night, really, really late in the morning, and I will say the online mode is still pretty shaky in the game, and players will just get disconnected randomly. So I don't think it has the best online structure, but they could easily patch it and fix it. But I can recommend that game as fun to just, if you're watching something on a different screen and you just want something to mindlessly, extremely casually play. It's nice. There's no timers. There's nothing to jump out and kill you. There's nothing you have to jump over. You don't have to worry about getting shot. You're just playing a card game. And it's a different experience than I usually play on Switch. So I can back that one up.
And of course, if you just have a natural obsession with Uno, it's for sure for you then.
Yeah. Like, the price point is so great with it being so close to the actual physical game. To me, it's worth the extra few bucks to never have to shuffle cards.
Yeah.
And never have to enforce the rules myself. Like that makes it all worthwhile.
Does it offer local multiplayer?
It does have local multiplayer with multiple switches. The one thing I didn't like about online is it says in the game, it says play online with your friends or other people, but there's no option to actually connect to your friends. There's nothing that says, there's no like icon that you can click that says like, search for a friend and start a lobby with a friend. Like you couldn't play a friend and two, computer players or something like. So I don't know if that actually works, that it throws you online. I don't know how the matchmaking works. I happened to get in a room with Eric the Arcade Bunny, but that might have been because we were playing at like 5 a.m. and there was nobody else playing Uno on the Switch at that hour. So I don't know if it knows to look for your friends first or how that would work if for some reason you had like 5 friends all playing Uno online at the same time. But again, maybe in the future they'll patch it. Maybe they won't care because it's only a $10 game. But either way, I feel like I still got my money's worth already out of it. I'm a little scared to look at the hour count when it finally shows up in 3 more days or whatever.
So, who is the Uno champion here at the podcast then?
Well, it's hard to say. I think we both lost. Although Eric forgets that he has to call Uno when he's only got 1 card left, so I nailed him on that pretty much every time. Just kept adding 2 cards to his hand. Although I was surprised he had bought it, but last night was the first time he ever actually opened the game. On a call when we were playing, and I'm like, you forgot to call Uno. He's like, how do I do that? And I'm like, have you never played this before? It's like, it says press this button to call Uno. I don't know. I really don't think there's any skill or very much skill in Uno, man. It's completely just random. You get what you get.
Yeah, that's true.
It sort of makes you feel a little bit like there's a little bit of strategy and skill, but it's just doing the best you can. There's some rounds where you just keep taking on more and more and more cards, and there's nothing you can do about it.
No mercy rules in this version.
Yeah, no, but it's good. It's still hanging into the top 20 on the eShop sales. Might be residuals left over from the sale.
Hopefully we'll get another sale like that, and some more folks will pick that up.
Oh, and I can also recommend there's one excellent pinball game that came out today, and one that's also okay that's free. um, but free is always awesome, or free to start,
Yeah.
whatever they call it. Where I think they give you 3 free pinball games. It's made by Zen. It's called Pinball FX3. Comes with 3 free tables, and then there's a Stern Arcade pinball that comes with 1 free table. But I like the Zen stuff on 3DS. So, and I think I've got the Star Wars stuff on Wii U as well. It's made by Zen. So I recommend Pinball FX3. Doesn't cost you a dime. Check it out.
That's the best kind of game. Free game.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll take more of those on Switch.
Yes, please. All right. I believe that's going to wrap us up for the evening.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out with us here. And as always, be sure and subscribe here to make sure you're getting all of our latest episodes, which come out every Thursday, just like the eShop updates are used to. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter, Stitcher, iTunes, and of course, here on YouTube. So thanks for tuning in. Glad you hung out with us, and we'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.